Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Camera Live podcast. It is the 4th of September, 2025, and we're beaming to you live from Australia mostly. Yeah, we're all in Australia. That's fair to say. This is episode 113. We're on the march to 200 already, Justin.
That's right.
We'll get there soon. Given how many
technically 114, Greg. Technically 114, but last night's episode didn't count. I didn't renumber them.
You didn't? So. No, and I appreciate your slackness in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in case you missed it, we had a BFOP booking party last night, or as I like to call it, the BFOP Emotional Support Podcast, because apparently there were tantrums, there were tears, but there was a lot of glee and a lot of success. So we might touch on that a little later. But more importantly, joining us today is award-winning adventure videographer and photographer Aidan Williams. Aidan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, actually. I feel like we've been planning for a couple of months now, and now's the time. I get my time to finally talk to you guys.
Here. It's
like time in the sun. It is. It is. But we're not like Oprah. We don't give out lots of gifts. So we'll send you a sticker. But yeah, so welcome. Want to jump into the chat and say good morning to a bunch of people. But just before we do, Aidan, can you just give us a 60-second version of who you are and what you shoot?
Yeah, my name's Aidan Williams. I'm Blue Mountains born and bred, but I shoot adventure sports photography. Currently shooting with Nikon and absolutely loving that at the moment. But pretty much I travel all around the world, photographing a sport mainly called slacklining or highlining, which is the elevated version. If you aren't familiar with it, it's kind of like tightrope walking, but we do it at serious heights. So I've done that
crazy heights,
49 countries so far in the space of about 7 years.
Wow,
that's insane.
Yeah, that is insane. 49 countries. Your passport must be just worn down to a little stub with a staple.
Yeah, I've had to renew it, sadly. I wanted to keep it all on one, but now I've had to get on to the next one. It's a bit sad because I'm missing out on those stamps, but it's a perfect excuse to kind of see beautiful places, but also be around just amazing people as well, and obviously very talented athletes.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, look, we are going to unravel a little bit more about your journey and how you got to where you are now, and also what you're working on these days. But before we start that part of the conversation, Justin, you want to say good morning to some folks?
I do, especially Philip Johnson. He was here first, always is. Philip, good morning. Only feels like yesterday we were here. That's right, because you were here on last night's show.
You were. Yeah. Justin and I have decided we're just going to leave it live always, and we're just going to walk past and go, oh, you're still here. You know, with a coffee and a toothbrush and,
24-hour stream. It's going to be great. Rodney Nicholson, good to see you. Amazing photographer. Who else we got? Oh, Jim's here. He says, surely they won't be late. We were. And Elena says, the day they won't be late, Justin will give out a 50% off Lucky Straps code. So yeah, wait for that. Nick Fletcher's here. Good morning. Ian Thompson. Good morning. LTK
guys.
Photo. How's it going? How are you going? It's good to see everyone.
Welcome, guys. And look, if you are watching or listening along and you're new to the channel, please make sure you give us a like on this episode. It just helps to promote it to other folks that are like-minded like us. And please make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the bell icon so you get notifications. We run 2 podcasts a week. We have the Monday evening show, which is the Random Photography Show, 7:30 p.m. every Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then we have our interview show with amazing guests such as Aidan every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And finally, sorry, it wouldn't be right if I didn't complete the ad read by saying today's episode of the Camera Life podcast and every episode of the Camera Life podcast is proudly brought to you by luckystraps.com. Head to luckystraps.com if you're looking for a premium Aussie-made handmade leather camera strap, and we can customize it and tailor it to suit your needs. So head there, and thanks to all the great folk at Lucky Strap for sponsoring this show. Justin, thank you.
Thank me. Thank us. It's funny. I think it's actually, that's how I first come across your work, Aidan. I don't know how you had flown under the radar from I don't go on Instagram a lot, and you've got 70,000 followers. Crazy Instagram page. Beautiful
attention
photos.
whore. You're an attention whore.
And I think that's how I come across you because it was through Lucky Straps, I'm pretty sure. So that was pretty cool. I was like, we got to get this guy on the podcast. Like as soon as I saw your feed, I was like, get him on the podcast. We got to do it. So I think that was back in June or something, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for getting me on. It was actually, like obviously been familiar with Lucky for a long, long time, but I just wanted to actually have something that was personalized to me. And I was actually placing an order, and then they're like, do you want to come on the podcast? I was like, of course, it's a bit of an honor to be here, with you guys. So,
we're
Perfect.
nobodies. Well, he is,
exactly.
but, we're mostly
No.
nobodies.
All right.
But thank you. That's wonderful. Let's dive in to find a little bit more about you. Before we get into the photography side of life for you, can you roll us back a little bit in time and talk to us about some of your early influences that you think maybe contributed to a career in photography? Were you an adventurous kid? Were you a creative kid? Were your parents business-minded folk? What was sort of those early days like for you?
Yeah, so obviously
You can
growing up
exclude
in
the childhood trauma. You don't need to go into childhood trauma. We're not interested in that here.
that'll be for another podcast. No,
Yeah, exactly.
no, being based in the Blue Mountains obviously kind of lends itself to having an adventurous kind of spirit and soul, but also kind of there's a really nice creative community up here as well. So going to school up here, like really, really kind of nurtured that. But with my parents, they were always really, really supportive of kind of my creative pursuits, and anything I kind of lent, like kind of any sort of direction I went in, they supported that. And that kind of started when, I think I was about 5 years of age, and as you're going away on family trips, and you just have like your little Kodak film camera, disposable camera, and they must have seen something. A couple of years later, it must have been my joy. I can't remember back to it, but they bought me this little tiny point and shoot when I was about 7. I just absolutely loved it. Always took photos everywhere,
Really?
both in the environment that I was in, family trips, but also my older brother playing sport, and you just, you kind of got a free reign, and that's the ultimate creativity. And it wasn't really until I'd say about 16 years of age, and I was starting to get into thinking about my HSC and all that, and you've got a careers advisor in your ear saying, what do you want to do with your life? And at 16 years of age, not many actually know, but or have it locked in. But it kind of coincided that at my school in the Blue Mountains, we had a photography teacher just came in as my visual arts teacher, and I was just like, wow, I can actually combine sport, photography, and actually make a career out of this. And I think I probably drove her crazy, just by nagging her at every opportunity about what I could do better and just this pursuit. And it kind of did really, really well with my HSC, like in terms of my art projects, and obviously did that in photography as well as my major. But it wasn't until kind of I started studying after school. I started doing cave and doing photo imaging, where I had teachers and lecturers like Adam Knott, who had worked for some of the biggest magazines in the world, photographed amazing people like Nelson Mandela, and they're giving you all the insight into what actually it takes to be a photographer. And I think that's something now that really is instilled in me about valuing, valuing that journey and how to get better in this pursuit, because it isn't always glamorous, as we all know. But also, what it takes to be both a good person, but just also a really good photographer. But I was really, really fortunate kind of in my young career, and also today, to have influences like Adam Pretty, who's an Australian photographer, but currently works overseas, is amazing photographing Olympic Games. I've had people like Neil Leifer for Sports Illustrated, obviously adventure photographers, which most people idolize, like Jimmy Chin, who shot Free Solo, and these really amazing people. That
he's on our list, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but he's on our list. Justin set me a few challenges.
I made a list of guests, and they're like rated from like hard to impossible, and Jimmy Chin's in the impossible list.
I got Jeff Cable. I got Jeff Cable.
You did get Jeff Cable.
I'm cling to that win as long as I can.
Yep. So we're working our way. We want it because I think I saw somewhere you had drawn some inspiration stuff, obviously being Australian adventure sports from Crystal Wright. She's definitely on our list as well of sort of dream guests to try and wrangle onto the podcast. But okay. So,
amazing photographer.
Oh, I know. Crazy
and
stuff.
just such a kind person as well.
Yeah. So you've spent some time with Crystal on projects or
So unfortunately, I haven't spent any times on projects with her. That would be amazing, of course.
Yeah.
But when I was actually doing my HSC, you draw. I feel like you have to draw as many inspirations as possible, like references, and she was one of the main ones that being an Australian, but also like an adventure photographer, you kind of add it to the list, And it was actually, like, I don't know, if this is going to be a question further in, but she was actually the person that, unintentionally, of course, that actually made me aware of blacklining or highlining.
Wow.
So I guess I have her to thank.
This we'll be jumping around. We can always dive back into talk a little bit more about your TAFE studies and stuff like that, because I'm interested to find out what that was like. Because I never learned anything about photography. I just did it, and that's why I suck. So
No.
What I've had written down here, which I found really interesting, was what I've found, especially when people excel in photography or videography in sort of these niche sports, generally the story is, well, I was a rock climber and I was, hanging out with rock climbers and I started bringing my camera, and then next thing I knew, I was the photographer, and that launched into a career. And that seems to generally be the evolution. Whereas you were a photographer and you had, from what I understand, you had never participated in this sport of highlining or even climbing. Had you rock climbed much at all, or were you into this stuff prior to deciding that you wanted to take it on as part of your photographic career?
So I came from like a very different direction where, it wasn't like, as you said, like that I was climbing growing up or doing these amazing things like canyoning. And, I just kind of had a friend at like either the climbing gym or the crag or, those sorts of things, or even, through slacklining, saw her in the park, or, again, a friend. I had that foundation where I'd come from photography, and I kind of lucked out that, I actually heard about. Growing up in the Blue Mountains, I was probably the only person here that didn't actually climb or do that sort of things. I was, very conventional, where I was playing, representative, soccer, cricket, winter, summer, and then just rinse, repeat. So I didn't do that. I did hiking and, bushwhacking, all those sorts of things, but I didn't have that kind of in. I actually was at a bit of a dead end, which, I don't know, there's probably some really hardcore photographers out there that have been in press and, and agency work for, 40 years and going, what are you talking about? Being, 2021 and being burnt out, like that doesn't exist, and I was working at the Daily Telegraph at the time. I was doing a bit of agency work on the side with Getty images through their sports side. And I'd grown up as that was the dream, all your photographers, they're the sports photographers at these amazing magazines and newspapers, and they're photographing Olympic Games, and that's their goal. And with press, you kind of have to start pretty much at the bottom. You don't just get into sport. So I'd kind of cut my teeth, and I was a year into the job, and I was pushing and pushing and doing like all these really long days and coming in my days off to just try and pick up extra jobs and kind of put myself in front of editors, any ways to kind of get. And I just was burnt out. I kind of sat back and was like, what am I doing at the moment with my career? Like, I'm a year in. Can I see myself doing another 39 years in this per se? Where's that creativity going to actually? I didn't have any creativity at that point. Like, I kind of, through that burnt out process, I felt like I was photographing jobs and I was in this kind of monotonous loop. And funnily enough, the most adventurous place I could kind of think of outside the Blue Mountains was Tasmania. So I thought, I'll go down there on a one-way trip, and I'll go down there on a trip and I'll just road trip around for 2 weeks and just hopefully something spurs out of that. And I don't know, even if it's a sunrise or an amazing hike, or I'll get something out of it, and it'll all come back to me. I'll have some answers. You're looking for the holy grail.
It was a vision quest. It was like
You're waiting
for
I
the
gotta
literally.
find
come
myself.
down.
I love it. That's
so
And
okay.
yeah, and I didn't even
That's
have to go to
crazy.
Bali or anything for it. But
No, you didn't. No, you
no,
did not.
but I was down there, and it was one of it must have been like one of the last couple of days down there, and I heard that Crystal Wright was photographing this thing called slackline, and as you do when you've got these inspirations that you just clutch at anything you can.
Yeah.
You grasp, you go, that must be the answer. That's something that, if they're doing it, that must be something. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see her in action or the athletes or anything like that. Funnily enough, I have met the athletes and they're really good friends that were on that project, but it's kind of
Oh wow.
a bit of a funny like loop moment. But I came back to New South Wales and back to Sydney in the Blue Mountains, and I was like, slacklining. I was obsessed with this. I was like, I have to find
Wow.
out what it is and who's doing it. And I scoured the internet back then, and there wasn't much on it, like in terms of highlining and slacklining. It was it still is like it's niche now, but it was even more niche back then. Let alone with social media, it wasn't quite as big, in terms of Instagram and everything. But I eventually found this guy up in the Blue Mountains doing it, and I was
Actually,
it's probably gonna
slacklining,
be a thing.
not the photographer, but an actual athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a theme throughout this podcast that me just being a pest and very persistent. It's probably like one of my best but worst traits. And I just pestered him for weeks on end, and eventually he allowed me to come out. He's like, okay. And it was after sunset. It was pretty bad conditions. It was pretty dark, but as soon as I saw this board, I was obsessed. I fell in love with it. It was the most beautiful thing, seeing someone walk a line that it's only 1 inch wide, but it almost from the side, it just looks like they're flying through the air, and they're
It's
hundreds of
crazy.
meters in the air. And I kind of got this little taste in my mouth. I was like, this is it. Like,
Wow.
this is the answer that I was actually looking for, and I've gotten it. I have to go all in on it. And thankfully enough, the athletes that I was with invited me to stay the weekend. They're like, come back. And I was like, okay. And fast forward, probably 2 months, I ended up leaving my job at the Telegraph and booking a one-way ticket to France because I heard that's where they're doing more of slacklining and highlining. I didn't
Wow.
know who was there or anything like that, but I just wanted to go all in with it because, yes, it's a risk, but also I didn't have anything to lose by it either. Like my career was, I thought was going well, but also like I had a long way to go. And, even if I was back in a week or two, then at least I knew. I kind of into that, but thankfully I'm still going.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's just get this clear. So you flew to, where did you land? Like Paris, or you flew to
I landed,
France?
yeah. So I landed in Paris and then took a train down to Chamonix, which is South France.
And then just walked around asking people if they did slacklining or highlining? Like, how did you?
Not on the street. Not on the street.
But I mean, so you had no plan, you had no athletes lined up or anything like that. Did you have anyone to kind of start that connection point with?
I had nothing planned to the point where even the night that I arrived in Paris, I didn't even have accommodation booked until I landed my flight.
Yes.
That's cool. Once I landed and once I like got familiar and actually put up over the jet lag, I started trying to reach out to like little communities. Just you have Facebook groups and everything like French Highliners and these sorts of things. Just putting the word out and seeing who was actually doing this. And thankfully, there was a couple of French Highliners down there that were based down there, but also there was one of the guys that was from Sydney, I believe, and he was going to be over there soon enough anyway. So kind of without knowing it, when I got there, it worked out perfectly.
Had it in. So,
wow.
And to be clear, so at this point, you were new to the sport. Had you started trying to educate yourself? Because this is a complex sport as well. In terms of you're talking about. It's essentially similar to climbing in the levels of safety and rigging and things that need to be done, particularly if it's a difficult to access spot. I assume sometimes they do even have to not climb to the spot, but they might have to rappel, or you might have to rappel. There's a lot going on. Had you tried to upskill yourself in that before going to France? Like, had you started immersing yourself in that world?
So I thought I had, and it's one of those things about like kind of the limit of how much you know, and that's kind of the even now. Like I'll be like, oh, that's what I need to know, and then all of a sudden I'll get to that point and I'll be like, no, no, I need to know more, or you find new ways. And at the time, I I was very basic in terms of like I didn't have the climbing experience, I didn't have these sorts of things, but in terms of knowing what the athletes are actually doing and have to go through and the rigging and sort of thing like that, I had to upskill very quickly, and that was a massive learning curve.
Mm.
And it even evolved into the stage where I was in the sport, and because I was in the sport, everyone's like, well, you have to be able to walk the lines now too, not just be able to take the
Like a rite of
photos.
passage.
Really?
Big
You
rite of
got pushed.
passage.
You got pushed into it. Peer pressure. That's awesome.
Massive. So I
Yeah.
hadn't even been on a slack line like what you'd see in the park. My
Yeah,
first
Justin has
line,
done some slack
I was
lining,
gonna
but his
say,
first
yeah,
slack lining experience was at a children's playground, I think.
I was telling you,
nice.
I was like, I've done this quite a bit, you know.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. It's, for anyone, I'm just going to bring up a picture of like one of your pictures quickly, and then just to explain to people that maybe can't visualize what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so this is what the sort of thing that you shoot. This is one of your images.
Oh my God, look at that.
Which is, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what they refer to as highlining as opposed to slacklining, which functionally is kind of the same, but it's just the fact that you're way up in the air.
Pretty much like anything from 20, 30 meters above is considered like mid to high lining. But like, if you're slacklining in the park, it's generally about a couple of feet to a meter
As-
off the ground.
As close as possible to the ground when I do it.
Yeah,
I've done
yeah.
it. I've just laid the
Limit
rope on the
impact.
ground and tiptoed
Yeah.
across the rope. So,
And I think that that's something that's the same. I think the distances are obviously also quite like in terms of when you hear about slacklining. When I've heard about slacklining, usually it's like a bunch of rock climbers or just outdoorsy type people. And I think the one that I've got a gibbon slackline. Yeah,
Nice.
in the shed. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Very
It's yellow.
popular.
And I think it's maybe 10 to 15 meters or something like that, maximum length. And we set it up between two trees over some nice soft grass, and we try not to fall off it. And so that's kind of like the kids' training wheel level of the sport. And this is like the
program.
yeah. Way beyond
So-
the pro level of it.
Just on the slacklining stuff, and obviously in these shots you're incredibly elevated, so you're up quite high. What sort of gear are you wearing for your protection?
Yeah, so it definitely does depend where I am and also the access. Like, say for instance, if we are like an elevated environment where you can hike, you can climb, these sorts of things like that. That's my gear is going to be quite simple. Like I'll have my harness, I'll have like an ATC and like all these sort of safety devices just in case, like a Gree-Goose or rappel as well. But if say for instance, we are on something more complicated, my gear is just going to kind of elevate a lot more than that.
Yeah,
My gear can go from a simple kit of about 15 kilos to right through to about 40, 45 kilos as well.
Wow.
Just
That is
in
a lot.
purely in your safety and access gear, I
Yeah,
guess, as
yeah.
well, in terms of you being able to get to the position you want to shoot from isn't necessarily always the same position as they're setting up their rigging and stuff for the line itself. So you might be like, okay, you guys are setting up, I got to get over there and down there. or something.
Sometimes like where they are on the line, I might be 2 kilometers away.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have to like, generally you'll have the line and you'll have the access and everything like that, which is great. But then you have the complicated part about going, okay, well, how am I actually going to do this justice? And
Yeah.
that might mean hiking large distances and also like in a short time frame as well, because it's not like you can ask an athlete, oh, can you just get back out there and just walk this line again?
Just
or
hold that
world
pose.
record
Just
or
hold
whatever.
it. Hold it.
Just hold.
Actually, that's a really interesting thing to bring up, because it's like a lot of because of the way these work, it sort of looks like it's all about the photo, where it's like, okay, we're going to make this photo. I've got it all set up. If you can just walk out to this perfect spot and then I'll take the photo. But it's actually not always about the photo. It's actually, like you say, it's about a world record attempt or something like that. And you've just got to figure out how to capture it and not and help the process, not get in the way of the process.
Yeah, that's the part where, like, I guess, yeah, from the outside, it kind of looks like, oh, you go to this amazing spot and you say, hey, walk to this part, and just stop, hold it, and then get the photo. It's like, definitely not. You do have these projects where, say, for instance, it might be a world record, or hey, the weather's actually turning. They have one last try, and these sorts of things where you're just a little small piece in the cog. You're
Yeah.
not the main event, and you never will be. You just need to make sure you're nailing your part, they're nailing their part, and you're part of this bigger team.
Mm.
sorry,
I've got a business question for you, which I know will shock everybody. How do you handle insurance with this sort of gig?
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
And expensive. So there's kind of two parts to this, and I'll dissect it. That it's a lot easier for me to get insurance, and like in terms of like me, my gear, and everything like that, than what the athletes are doing. So it does give me perspective,
Yeah,
and that
true.
does make it quite hard as well when you are doing like commercial projects, because a lot of companies will be like, no, we want it to be insured, we want everything, and you're like, how much do you have really in terms of that? Because that's really, really tough.
Yeah.
And also, it is a really hard one as well for me, because if I'm doing maybe a season or whatever like that in Australia, it's a lot easier to get insurance like back home than if I'm doing it abroad, and then I
Yeah.
actually mention where
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's quite expensive
Yeah.
I can imagine. And we will
to look at when I'm.
we are going to try and dig into the realities of trying to make a living doing this later in the show. I've got a ton of questions written down about that. But before we get there, so you're in France, you don't know anyone, and you've sort of got a basic level of knowledge of how this sport works in terms of the equipment and that kind of thing. So when you first link up with some people and you get, what's that first sort of shoot like, or that first whatever? How did it unfold?
It's a hard one, and I like. There's definitely traits from when I did that shoot and like when I first started, and everything like that I still carry today. And I don't think you'll meet someone that's met me and they won't say, oh, he's not enthusiastic. Like, my enthusiasm is always there, especially when I'm passionate about something. But when I approached that first shoot, like in Chamonix, there was this balance between, I'm not out of place, but I kind of I felt like a bit of an imposter in a way. That you had these amazing worldwide athletes that did incredible things, and we were up 2,000 meters on a project in France, and I'm going, just a couple of months ago, I didn't even know what this was, and these people may be recognized worldwide as these really incredible and prolific athletes. Here am I on this project, I have to deliver. I have to find a way to deliver. I don't like what I know on this circumstance. I need to exceed that well and truly. And, like, I look at those images that I produced, and I was really proud of them. Now I
Yeah.
look at them and I'm like, that was great for what you knew, but what were you thinking? And
We
it's
all
that
do that.
ultimate
We
thing.
all do that. Don't worry.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was quite intimidating, because you have to do a job. You're a professional there, they're a professional, and you have to find a way to execute the job. No matter how uncomfortable the situation, or like, no matter how scared of heights you are, or whatever, you have to find a way to nail a job in this circumstance, because if you don't, you're just letting down everyone. So yeah, it was quite intimidating, but also what I learned in that short period of time and from putting myself in that situation was, like, those skills I still carry to today, because I'm like, wow, like, what you were able to like overcome was it's quite a lot.
Yeah. I think it's fair to
How-
say, Aidan, that sorry, Jay.
Okay.
I just want to say, I think it's fair to say that yes, photography skills are critical, and that we are constantly learning and developing. But I think what's standing out for me, hearing you talk about your journey, is just that drive you had. You were quite happy to give up comfort and security, travel to the other side of the planet to work on a project you'd never seen, you'd never shot before. I think that takes amazing bravery, to forsake comfort and security for literally the opposite.
Yeah.
clinging to a rock 2,000 feet up, trying to get a great angle of someone walking across a line. Like, it's just phenomenal.
Not only that too, but so the trigger for this was the Tasmanian Vision Quest, which was the furthest place away you were planning. You were like, all right, I got to go on a bit of a trip, but I can't go too far. And then next minute, you're flying to Paris with no plans.
Yeah,
that's
pretty amazing.
That's a big leap, and it's inspiring. I think in terms of what's inspiring to me is that the fact that I think sometimes I let myself get what's the right word for this? Discouraged, or talk yourself out of being able to maybe do something because you think, well, everyone else would have done that all their life. Anyone photographing this sport, they would have done this all their life. I couldn't enter as a beginner essentially in the sport and be a great photographer. I've even talked myself out of that when it comes to snowboarding. I've done a bit of snowboard photography and stuff like that, but I'm like, and a little bit of it is geographic, and I don't want to move to an iconic like snow location to be able to make it a real thing. That's probably what I would have to do. But also part of it is I'm not a good enough snowboarder. I didn't grow up in those areas, and everyone else is already so far ahead of me as photographers. I would never be able to compete, so I shouldn't try. I just think it's very inspiring that you didn't have any, or maybe you did have some of those feelings, but if you did, you pushed through them to chase what you were after.
Yeah, and it can be really, really difficult. Like, I know exactly what you mean, and I feel like if you're not having those conversations, you're not human. Like, it's part of it. It's once you get into whether it's photography or any other thing, you're going, oh, like if I want to cut my teeth and do this at the highest level, I want to make this really, I have to do this, and but I don't have that here. I have to travel, and there's always like what ifs and everything like that. But for me, like even to this day, like yes, there's what ifs, but I think the difference between like when I probably first started, probably out in as photographer, I would say, is that there's going to be what ifs and everything like that, but you overrule it straight away, and then you quickly switch in terms of going, well, what am I actually? What are the pros and what are the cons from this? And generally, with these sorts of things about making a reality, you have nothing to lose. Like, yes, I'm very much in a fortunate situation where, I don't have kids and those sort of things like that. I'd like to think that that wouldn't hold me back, but also, life
It changes.
definitely.
It
For
changes your
sure.
reality. It really does. Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's always going, well, if I don't take this opportunity, if I don't put myself in this situation, am I actually really giving this my all? Am I actually really following my passion or anything like that? I think, it's there's always going to be a lot of doubt. That's you can't become so robotic that they don't exist. But I think for me, like, it just becomes stronger, the fact that it's like, yes, you can have doubts and that's natural. Yes, you can feel nervous, that's natural. But you also use that to harness you as well and go, okay, yes, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling anxious ahead of shooting a world record or
of
a
course.
shoot for Redbull that I have one attempt at. If I screwed up, the project didn't exist, kind of thing like that. But also you go, well, how many people would actually kill to be in my situation right now, and how hard have I had to work to get to this opportunity? Why would you let that slip just because of a bit of doubt?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And look, I've talked very openly about, I have sometimes almost crippling imposter syndrome. It's plagued me most of my life, and it's only in recent years that I've become aware of it. But I think another standout thing for me, you talk about, I guess your actions speak loudly around, this is something I'm passionate about, this is something I'm going to pursue, and you make it happen. And I think hearing your earlier story about, the fact that your parents encouraged your creative pursuits, that they bought you a camera and kind of gently nudged you in that direction because that's where you were facing. And they were obviously very supportive about that. And I think that plays a huge part. And I'm sorry to therapize your childhood, but I think that plays a huge part in how we face challenges as adults. Were we given the confidence to make our own decisions? Were we given the freedom to fail and fall and then get back up? But were we allowed to choose our own direction? I think that plays a huge part, for people that, like you, have developed success from a very early age. And I think it's really inspirational that at 7, you were going, oh, wow, there's something in this. That's
crazy.
That's pretty phenomenal and unique. I was going to say peculiar, but that's the wrong word. It's very unique. And, hats off to you folks, really, for allowing that sort of maturing of creative ideas. I'm
very lucky to kind of have that support, because I've seen the opposite where, say for instance, someone's not good at something or has a passion at the start and is kind of discouraged. But I was very, very lucky in my sense that, one, my parents noticed something at such a young age, but also encouraged that too, and kind of just nurtured it. It could have been easy to just be like, well, it's just another person taking a photo, or, he's not going to make a career out of it, or he's not going to actually love this, that sort of thing, or it's just.
Or wouldn't
just
you prefer to be an accountant?
Yeah.
Really.
Where's the money? Like that sort of thing. So
maybe think about getting a trade.
Yeah.
Poor Aidan.
What's your
He seems a
backstop?
little lost lately.
Yeah, exactly. You need something to fall back on.
What's your plan B?
It's that's so funny. It's when you said about. Anyway, this is completely off topic. When you said it earlier about when you're at 16 and the person at school is like, what are you going to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And one of the people, because everyone's seen Top Gun.
I can see that.
Sick. Why wouldn't you? And then
It's just like Top Gun.
You know
Just
what?
like
You just need some aviators now.
Yeah, exactly. I could be just in a
I'll
helmet.
buy you some
got
next birthday.
And you know what the person at my school said? And mind you, I can't remember when the timeline was, but for reference, like I did, I did year 12 physics in year 11. I wasn't great at it though. I was bad at homework, but I did, and I did the advanced maths and stuff like that. So I was kind of into the science, and I sucked at English, but I was into the sciencey, mathsy stuff a bit. And the person, when I told them I wanted to be a fighter pilot, they were like, you have to actually be really smart and really like physically fit to be a fighter pilot. So it's probably not something you should pin your hopes on, because it's very difficult. That was their advice. And I was like, maybe that was the reality that I needed, but I was like, oh, God. And then I want to hear about yours too, Greg. And then the other one was, we were playing in a band. We were a terrible band, but we were having a great time. We actually opened for Parkway Drive. Don't know if you've ever heard of them.
That's all that
kind
matters.
Of a big deal.
Wow.
No one's heard of them, Justin.
It doesn't count because we organised the gig that they played at. So we obviously were going to make ourselves the opener, because we brought them to Bendigo when they were sort of smaller.
That's actually quite clever.
Anyway, it was clever. So claim to fame. But again, one of our teachers, I think this was in year 11 or 12, he gave us like a lecture about how a far better band than us got signed to Sony but still never made it. So it's probably not a good idea to pin your hopes on becoming a band because it's so difficult. I had it multiple times. It was anyway.
Jeez.
So
I had a similar experience. So my mum wanted me to be an accountant because my brother was an accountant, and he, anyway, I need therapy for that too. Career guidance. When I did, mine was half HSC, half ECE. I was in the crossover, the cusp of that. And it was so long ago that my career guidance teacher, who was just my maths teacher, who I didn't really appreciate, he brought up, he had this old, like this one, like an early computer where the screen was like this big and the text was just green on black. Like we're thinking that generation, early Mac, really early Mac. And I remember it because I was talking to him about, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be an illustrator. I was good at drawing, an illustrator and painter. And he was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna make anything in that sort of industry. You could be looking more at sort of, more economic based stuff. And it's like, have you spoken to my mother? Has she been in your ear?
Maybe she had.
Maybe she had. No, I still don't know. I may never know. But it was really like, it stuck with me that was kind of a point where people didn't necessarily believe that it was worth me pursuing an artistic career. And I've always struggled with it. But yeah, it's just interesting the influence one person can have on what could be your direction. It's and I'm sure lots of people have stories like that, creative people especially.
But yeah, I think it's just such an important thing. Like, yes, I'm very fortunate in the sense, like for me, that I had my parents, but like when you're at school and you're away from your parents and all these external kind of things, you need someone to actually kind of nurture that as well, because you're, at the end of the day, you're probably just trying to find your way. You're a bit lost and everything. You just need someone to, either take your hand or a pat on the back. And, yes, I was very fortunate in that sense with, during school, but also afterwards when I was studying, that these people that, in all honesty, like at the time, you're going, it's just their job. They're a teacher. But then when you look back, you're like, wow, you actually went out of your way. Like I was speaking to actually one of my lecturers from TAFE the other day when I was overseas, and it was we're just having this amazing conversation about like reflecting when I was actually studying, and I was still trying to. I think I had blinkers. I was like, sports photography, sports, and he widened my vision, everything like that. But he also was a person that when no one else kind of believed in me, just pushed me in a direction that I didn't think was valuable. But actually now I'm going, oh, that's actually where I wanted to go. And that actually is something that I really cherish to today. And he was like, oh, you're actually, why I'm so proud about doing my job. And I was like, oh, this is the thing that you don't ask for. But when someone does, you're like, and even for you guys and me today,
I got goosebumps.
that you see someone up and coming and all these sorts of things, and you're like, wow, like it makes such a big difference, about a compliment that, it might be their photo essay or, these sorts of things that they can change your day and career as well. So
it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much effort. It's interesting. Yeah. I definitely need more therapy.
I'm just going to bring up Dennis's comment here just because it could be interesting. So Dennis Smith has been on the show a bit. He's a light painter. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his kind of work. He does crazy light painting work, and he's suggesting to attach some lights to one of the athletes. He's seen it done small scale, but big is good. That would be interesting. Have you ever considered something like that?
I have. Logistics are a hard one. And actually getting it done is really, really tough. I've seen it done in terms of like a lot smaller scale, in terms of like shows and everything like that. People have attached LEDs and they've kind of,
so more
they've
performative
sort of thing.
kind of stuff.
They've done that, but like in terms of actually light painting, I've done a little bit with it, but it's really, really tough because generally you're well away from cliffs. They're like, even to stay on the line, they're moving, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. And
you also don't want to be responsible for distracting them.
No.
You could just make a halo with that light above your head.
I've seen it done with drones as well, which is really, really cool.
That's becoming a thing for sure.
What is it? There's a really amazing Nat Geo photographer who I think recently did, or maybe a year ago, not recently, for Apple, like a campaign just with their iPhones. And I think it's Ruben Wu. And he just goes, these halos, but out in the middle of like Arizona deserts and
rock monuments and stuff. Oh, I love that stuff.
Incredible.
So
but have a lot of admiration for anyone who's doing light painting of any sort, because I'd love to do it, but it's very, very.
Oh, maybe we should link you up with Dennis, because he hates collaborating with people.
I was going to say, if there was anyone that you wanted to talk to about, because Dennis made his own lights, like he makes tools. I don't know if let me bring up one of his things. Just so
does he walk Highlines as well?
He does not.
He would give it a shot, though. I'm sure he would.
But like,
he's pretty
I'm trying to. I don't know whether Dennis would probably yell at me because this isn't the best thing to show. But like, so he made his own. He made his own tools to be able to create.
Nice.
Sort of like graphic. This is his auto stuff.
Sick. Is it like light sticks?
Yeah, exactly. Light sticks that show it in a certain way.
And kind of wands that spin as well as he does them. If you go to his website, not now, afterwards, he documents everything and how he does it. So if you're curious about how Dennis achieves a look, there'll be 5 videos about it on his website. He's not a gatekeeper. He shares everything he learns.
And I'm sure he would be able to help if you were like, all right, I want to try and attach a light to like a wristband or something so that it does a flowy trail that trails where their arms went or something like that. He would be the guy to talk to about how to make that so that it doesn't shine into the camera. It creates like a colorful trail as opposed, like a head torch where it's like just a point source that's really bright kind of thing. Anyway.
I've attached like a few LEDs and also like use like red lights and everything like that. But I haven't done it like that because generally with that sort of stuff, like you need a bit better access, and I probably need to lower the line as well, like in terms of that. But it's such a cool technique.
Yeah, it'd be more of a like an artistic experience that's not so much about the terrain. It's more just about, hey, we're going to try this thing. So,
not like 2,000 meters up in the air.
That might be a bit tricky. But I am interested to know about your own journey with slacklining. You mentioned earlier that once you were sort of accepted into the crew, they were like, well, you've got to do it now. You won't truly be one of us until you get out there on that line. So what was that like for you? Did you start in a playground like Justin did?
No. So I wish I did. I wish I started. My first line was about, I think it was about 70 to 100 meters high.
Oh.
So I'd never been on a Highline before, and it was between bridges, like of the highway. And it was just terrifying because the thing is though with it as well, like yes, height is a big one, but also you're on this piece of like nylon polyester webbing that's no wider than a 20-cent piece, and anytime you move, it just wobbles as well. So that in combination with the height just doesn't really put you at like fill you with confidence. Obviously, as time goes past, you learn to just put more in faith with the gear. But at the time, not having any sort of kind of experience being on a slackline or highline, even like a foot above the ground, it's an interesting experience.
That's amazing. And did you have a safety harness that was anchored, or were you going? Wow.
Yeah, so I have generally like with the athletes that I'm working with, they'll just have, it's kind of like, it's just a climbing harness, but then you have a leash that's roughly about meter and a half, depending on the height of the person, long. And so you fall for about 0.2 of a second, sort of thing like that, catches you, and then you climb it and get back on the line. So you have that, but also, the further you get in this sport as well, the more you're exposed to people who do it free soloing as well.
Yeah. And have you ever taken a tumble off a line?
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, you have to tell the story, but
did you? So on that, okay, I have questions about this first one. On that day, did you know you were going to be trying it on that day, or was it like, okay, you've taken your photos now, out you go?
Yeah. Come on, you boy.
Yeah,
get out the rope.
I hadn't. I had no knowledge of anything that was going to happen apart from taking photos that day. My plan was to go there. It was kind of my first introduction in terms of being like photographing a sponsored team. Like UFC's got professional athletes, but it was like a sponsored team. So I was like, it's all about the athletes. It's no way in the world it's going to be about someone who's never been on a line before, let alone like, if I'd been on a line before, maybe I'd have some inkling, if the line was free, but it was like, no, you Aidan. So
wow. And how far did you walk the entire span?
No. Like I'd never walked anything before, like even slacklining. So to even have the technique, because the thing is though, like yes, you can walk on the ground and everything like that, but there's a certain technique to actually walking something that moves as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be able to tell me, Justin.
It's
But
it's exactly what you're talking about, where it's like it shakes a little bit, then you shake a little bit, and then and it's being able to let all that go and center yourself again. And it's I can't imagine how hard it would be on a line longer. Like our line's not very, because I'm assuming the longer the line, the more it can move, the bigger those movements are.
To some extent, because it can get to about, like, I would say probably 200 meters or something like that, and you can get like, say for instance, like it will like kind of reverberate off the anchor, like what energy you put into the line. So say for instance, if you're wobbly, it goes into the anchor and comes back even more intense. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so
Like an
if you're
aftershock.
really shaky, so it can be really, really wobbly. But the thing is that, like, the longer the line, also, unless you've got like external things like wind and everything like that, it can actually be more stable as well. So, like, say for instance, we've rigged lines up to about 3 kilometers, and
3 kilometers
that,
long.
yeah, 3 kilometers
That
long.
doesn't even make sense.
It
Who
doesn't
carries that up there? Like,
Must be huge.
how heavy is the 3 kilometer line?
A lot, but also, like, it's light for what it is, because it's only, I think it's about 30 grams per meter. So, like, yes, over the extent, it's quite heavy, but also it could be a lot heavier. Like, say for instance, your line, Justin, is probably, I don't know, it's probably, they're pretty thick though. I think those gibbons.
They're like
Probably
a
like
truck
150
tie down
something.
strap.
Yeah.
They're pretty thick. They're cheaper ones. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, there's
'cause
also
how do people? Sorry, how do people walk a line like even beyond like 200 or even 100 meters? Because it must be incredibly exhausting, mentally and
yeah.
physically. The sport.
Yeah, I think when you're working up to about like 100, 200 meters, it's so intensive like because you're putting so much into those sort of lines. But generally, like, as the line gets more stable, you're not exhausting as much effort to just control the line. Like, yes, you
Right.
are
Yeah.
still doing that, but with these sort of lines, you're building up that kind of stamina. So with this line here, this is, I believe, either 1.9 or 2 kilometers long.
Oh,
They're
that's
climbing
the
up a hill.
That's the
to get
walker
out
down
of
the
there.
bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
so
they
you
go
have-
uphill.
Wow.
You'll have this sag, so you actually, like, it can't just go straight across because it's like with the tension, it has to actually have some slack in it. So you might actually, like, we did a walk. What was it? About a week and a half, a week ago, and that was a kilometer and a half. And I think you're probably going maybe up 50 to 100 meters, like down and up over that
Wow.
frame. Yeah. So, but like generally with these guys here, you'll have built up that stamina. So walking
Yeah.
these lines is no thing. It's more so the conditions and if you're falling constantly, like it's a hard line, obviously you're exhausted more and more. So they're the things that you're kind of catering for, not like the fact that, hey, can I walk 2 kilometers? They can well and truly walk it, but yeah, you've always got these external forces as well.
Yeah. So yeah, of course they're they're professional athletes. But I noticed on a lot of the photos the line. So you've got the main line that they actually step upon, and then you've got these trailing. Are they just there in case they do take a tumble and there's something for them to kind of wrap their limbs around just to prevent the fall? If they're free rein.
So you, like, generally when you're falling, you don't want to be like catching the line at all, like with those sort of lines, because if
Right.
you're on the way down, generally you can't get a good grip, / if your body touches or anything like that, you're probably going to get a bruise there, and like it's actually going to hurt more than just
Yeah.
actually just falling into the leash. But the backup there is just in case the main line fails.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I see.
That's what I
cool.
assume, because that's you're anchored to the line. So it's like if that was a single line and it breaks, it's literally your anchor doesn't work because the line's broken. Whereas if you and all the tension's on the main line, so there's these loops that have no tension, so they should hopefully sustain if there's a break. Yeah. So they're essentially the backup.
Yeah, so they'll catch you, but they also, like, the really good thing about these sort of ones is they act as a bit of a wind dampener as well, where if you just had a main line like this, it would be so reactive. Anytime you take a step or anything like that, it would just literally, and it wouldn't stop. So with these, it actually kind of dampens the line a bit as well. Like, so if you have harsh winds and stuff like that, it's actually going to make it a little bit more manageable.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because you get that in the wind with high tension on the line. You get these like vibration, the wind vibration. You know, like a tie down strap on a trailer on a truck. You know, like So having this piece sewn at intervals would dampen that a tiny bit, I guess.
That's
interesting. Oh, this
and
sounds
so
crazy. I can't believe you didn't know anything about any of this. At the start.
What's the highest and longest walk and line that you've photographed, Aidan?
Highest would be around 4,000 meters high, and then longest would be 3 kilometers long. So
4,000 meters. How tall is Everest? Do we know?
I think
anyone?
I think it's 8,000
meters.
8,000 something. Yeah.
It's halfway up Mount Everest. Are you needing oxygen at that level? I don't know a lot about climbing, obviously.
No, you're fine.
No,
it's only like altitude sickness
you
kind of have to acclimatize to. But as long as you're kind of building your way up, you're generally pretty fine. But yeah, it can definitely take its toll. Like if you're exerting a lot, then even photographing and you're exerting a lot, everything just seems to move a lot slower when you're at that altitude.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good segue. Let's talk a little bit about gear, which is Justin's favorite subject. I'm surprised he doesn't have a jingle and a graphic for it. But.
I've been waiting for it, but also, so I've got a ton of notes about gear, but I was just waiting till we've sort of covered a fair bit of other stuff first. But there was a note here that would jump us into it from LTK Photo, who asked, do you try to pack light? And I've got a heap of questions around that side of it, also about traveling with gear, about the fact that you have to travel with not only camera gear, but essentially climbing gear as well. So there's tons of that I'd like to ask about, but we should probably start with just the basics in terms of like, what's your philosophy around gear? What are you using now? Do you want a big variety of gear on these shoots, or are you trying to keep it as light and small as possible? Tell us about it.
So I'll try and unpack it as best as I can, because there's always like a lot of variations with it, because generally I'm trying to pack as light as possible, because usually with these sort of things, if it's a day shoot, obviously it's an exception. It's a nice little luxury to be like, oh, I'll just throw that extra lens in the bag and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But with a lot of these ones, you're doing like 2, 3, 4, like up to kind of 10 days.
Wow.
So you're having to take like obviously clothes, food, water, with hydration, like a tent, sleeping gear as well. And then also, because you're part of a team, you'll be taking part of the line. It might be a climbing rack, these sorts of things, like harness, obviously. And then your camera gear actually gets packed last because you're a team person. So usually it's like maybe 1 or 2 lenses for a sort of thing like that. And that's a really nice one that if you can take 2, even 3 at max, you're really like, you've
set up.
You're in a good place. But so generally I'll I'll take about 2, 3 lenses max on a project. Usually about 2, if I've got the room. But it does vary a lot with what I'm taking, because I'm in a position where I'd love to be like a gear nerd and everything like that, but I'm unfortunately not in that position. It's more so because it's a tool at the end of the day for me to kind of harness that creativity, and whether it's with the lens I'm using, or whether it's the body I'm using, or anything like that, or even memory cards, anything like that. Anything I'm using is for a strict purpose to execute something that I know will deliver when I need it to, because it might be the last light of the day, I need to get that frame, or I need to get to that position, or whatever, and I need to know that gear is going to hold up. Like I've been hit by some of the biggest waves in the world. I've been shooting in deserts, snowstorms, everything like that, and I can't just be like, I'll just throw that in for the sake of it. If I know that, say for instance, if it isn't correctly weatherproofed or anything like that, I need to know it holds up. So with packing the gear is like really, really critical, like obviously preparation and everything as well, but also knowing exactly what I'm putting in that bag is really important as well in terms of gear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talk to us. What's your main kit? And then if you've got more than what you would take on any one job, what's kind of like your go-to stuff that you would take on, say, an overseas trip or something like that? Tell us through exactly everything.
Yeah. So you do have some exceptions, like say for instance, if you are photographing a 3 kilometer line, that's not your everyday.
Yep.
Yeah.
But generally my kit will involve a Z8. It'll involve usually a 24 to 70, 70 to 200, just staples. If
Yeah.
I have got the room, 14 to 24 as well is really, really nice as well, to kind of counteract the fact of not taking huge lenses when I can't afford the weight. I'll take
Mm.
just an extender as well, which does help.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So you switched to Nikon recently. Have you got the new 24 to 70 that just come out? You know, that new one that they just released?
Yeah.
It's lighter and stuff? Is that?
So unfortunately, I haven't got my hands on it yet. I think
Oh,
it gets released in about a week or two or
Yeah.
so.
okay.
It does look incredible in terms of the fact that yes, it's lighter. Internal zoom
Mm.
is a big one, but weight
Yeah.
for me is a massive one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be around 5 times faster, which if you've got a fleet at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to use it, but yeah, unfortunately, it's just not available at the moment. So
And so you only take the
that'll be
one
when I
camera
get back.
body? Sorry,
Sorry.
Aidan, I cut you off. You only take the one camera body with you, or do you have a backup?
If I've got the space, I'll take
Mm.
an extra lens and I'll take an extra body. So I'll take a Z6 III, which
Yeah.
is really, really nice. That
Nice.
in combination with a 14 to 24 is like the luxury of a kit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it just keeps getting scaled back massively. So
Yeah.
usually it's the two lenses and just a workhorse Z8 that I know that
Yeah.
if the client needs, I can also blow it up to a billboard.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask about because you're, often megapixels aren't that important in professional work. It gets usually overblown a little bit in amateur
Yep.
circles, but then in professional work, you're like, look, 24 is fine for most of the stuff that we do. But
Yeah.
given that your work is often essentially a highly detailed landscape image with a human the size of an ant in it, but that is the critical information. It's
Yeah.
like having the flexibility to either go big on the print for like a large campaign or something for a client,
Yeah.
or to be able to crop in for a different aspect
socials,
for something.
Yeah.
So do you find that for you that resolution, like 45 megapixels, is the sweet spot for what you would like to have on any given shoot?
Yeah, like I think if you're seeing around 2024, yes, it's really, really nice, and generally most of the time it's okay. But with the work that I'm doing, as you said, with the vast landscapes, you want to be able to actually have options, whether that's printing 2, 3 meters big for a print sale or for an exhibition or something like that. But also, if you do want to crop in, also like whether you love it or don't. Social media is a big one, and when you're cropping everything, like as like a
It's a
9 by 18
vertical.
or anything like that, yeah, you need to kind of actually have that option as well. And
Yeah.
like a, lo- that's it's as I said, like whether you love it or you don't, it's a big part of when you're working with clients as well that they do have options in
Yeah.
terms of whether they want it to run as a campaign, like in terms of like an external, like whether it's a billboard or anything like this, or
Yeah.
like in offices or anything like that, or whether it is for socials, they want those options. So, even for instance, like a lot of the time coming out of press, I'll be like, oh, JPEG is more than enough because it's all about time, time, time. But then when I'm working with clients, say for instance, like with Redbull, they're like, oh, we want JPEGs and RAWs. So you are
Yeah.
actually having
Yeah.
to be maximizing every element, whether it's your formats in terms of like your ratios and everything like that, whether it's your file type. So yeah, generally Z8 is covering every option, plus being a workhorse in terms of video as well
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. It's what Jim shoots with. Jim's one of our co-hosts here on the Camera Life podcast. He shoots with the Z8. He's got
His
two
Z8.
green.
Yeah, he runs two
Nice.
because he shoots a lot of weddings and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So he runs two Z8s, but he does
Yep.
some sports and stuff too. And he's in a weird spot where he's ended up through weddings, end up shooting all primes. So he's
Oh,
only
wow.
just kind of digging back in. Yeah. So a lot of the sports that he's shot in recently, like he used the F mount 105 1.4 for tons of stuff like mountain biking and all sorts of stuff. It looks awesome, but it's it's heavy and it's
The
obviously
Yeah.
one focal length. It's
Not the most
looks amazing
versatile,
though.
but amazing
No,
class.
amazing when
Yeah.
you nail it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So no, I think he got his first like a new Z mount wide angle lens recently, and I think he's
Nice.
been eyeing off a 70 to 200, just getting back into that sort of sports world. Oh, that's a question
Yep.
I have. So you switched from Canon to Nikon a year ago or something, or when
Yeah,
was
about
that?
a year ago. Yeah.
About a year ago.
It would have
Do
been,
you?
yeah, would have been
Oh,
July last year or so. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
You suck. No. So because I've switched from Canon to Nikon back to Canon again. Love Canon.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. Do you miss, and you can be honest here, do you miss the 70 to 200 2.8 from the Canon system that's so small? Did you have that lens, the RF 70 to 200? Do you miss that compactness?
So, yeah, I think size-wise, yeah, like it's hard not to miss it. But also in saying that, like I'm using like Z 7200 at the moment and absolutely love it. Like it's, to be honest, like I've heard varying things. Like some people say it's the heaviest lens ever, but also like some people will be like, oh, it's barely, like you barely notice it. And
Yeah,
I'm
what does
like,
it weigh? What is that?
it's but I've always found it such a light and small lens in terms of that. Like yes I do miss in terms of just that physical size, and it's hard not to miss that in reality.
Yeah, of course.
But in terms of with my kit, it's already super light anyway, and also I know that what I can get out of like the Z7200 is going to be awesome anyway. So
Yeah.
I love that combination with the ZA. But yeah, I think physical size, yeah, it's hard not to miss it. But I think, yeah, it's kind of like what you were saying about the new 24 to 70 as well, like in terms of weight and everything like that. Um, yes, it's gonna be lighter and everything like that. But you know, if something also works, then and you know you can get really good results out of it, then I'm just gonna stick it in the bag.
Yeah.
So
It's not a massive. Okay, so Canon's RF 7200 2.8, the original one, which is the one that goes quite compact. That's the one I've got. That's 1,070 grams. That is a very lightweight lens. Like they kind of broke the mold with that when it came out.
yeah,
But the Nikon without a tripod collar is 13 something, 1350. So it's not like you're not talking like double the weight or anything.
it's
It's
not
like
like
300 grams.
Yep.
And that can, you often have to look at things, I guess, in a full kit too, because you lose on one, you gain on the other. Canon's current 24 to 70 is 950 grams. I don't know if they've got a new version of I just bought their 28 to 70 2.8, which is like their new lighter weight one. It's a great little lens, really cool. And I've got the 16 to 28 2.8 as well. So that kit is super light. But in their pro level stuff, 950 grams for a 24 to 70 versus whatever Nikon's new one is. It's like 500 or 600 grams or something. So you you win some, you lose some, depending on the lens. It's sort of kind of Anyway, interesting.
And I just want to talk a little bit about working with clients and how you fulfill a brief. But just before I ask my question, I just wanted to say that so your client base includes the Olympics, Red Bull, Getty Images, Cirque du Soleil. Is it Petzl, Black Diamond, North Face, the Australian Olympic Committee, Yahoo, Institute of Sport, Paddle Australia, and government bodies. So when a client sets a brief for you, say with a Highline gig, how much creative freedom have you got in where and how the shots are taken? Because you're not just focusing on the athlete 100, 200, 300 meters out on the line, but you're also composing landscape shots, and they've got to be accurate and compelling in their own way. So what level of freedom do you have when a client says, okay, well, here's the brief, these are the shots we need some hero shots, we need some close-ups from a distance? Talk to us about the brief process.
It's a nice luxury when you have complete creative freedom, but then you do also get the commercial shoots where there's a little bit more structure to it in terms of that, like we need these key things. I've been really, really fortunate in terms of like career wise and when I'm photographing highlining that, and I guess it kind of lends itself to that. Like I guess I've kind of proven that I can deliver as well in that sense as
Yeah.
well. So that, when I go on a project, whether it's for a world record or whatever like that, and I'm shooting for, it could be literally, it could be for Red Bull, it could be for a local beer company, it could be anyone like that, that they're going, okay, we trust you. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it will be really, really nice in terms of getting like, whether it's, branding on a t-shirt the athlete's wearing, or, these sorts of key things, or whether it's
Yeah.
just complete creative freedom. Like I'm really fortunate in that sense where I do have a lot of brands that do come to me and they're just like, we trust you. You know what works, you know what
Yeah.
doesn't, you know the athlete, and that's like the ultimate compliment. But for me, coming from like, I don't know, press is a long time ago for me, like in terms of being in the heart of it. But you're used to going, but yeah, there's surely some brief at the end of it. Like there's something you want, right? So I kind of feel like I'm like under all of that, there's still something I need to, but at the end of the day, I've kind of gotten to a stage now where I do have that complete creative freedom. When I am working with companies like Red Bull, there's just a few target things that I do need to make sure that I'm delivering, or I'll deliver things that I know that they like to see or they'll use it
Yeah.
for. So they won't directly
Yeah.
ask me, but I'll be like, I'm delivering this because I know you'll use it in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an understanding thing as well. Like, yes, you do have that mutual respect, and yes, it is really nice to have like a shooting brief. But I think, yeah, when you do come into something and you do have a complete creative freedom, that's just like a breath of fresh air. It does add more pressure, but
Yeah.
you also back yourself as well because you know what works, you know what's going to look good, and do
And there's also
justice to
the
that
confidence
location as
that
well.
that client believes in you, like you said. Like
Yeah.
they obviously trust your skills, they trust your output and what you're going to deliver, to the point where they don't even need to be specific with you anymore.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive place to be.
As a creative, it's the dream, right?
It
The
is, yeah,
dream.
absolutely, yeah. Shoot what you want and get paid in the process. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're an arsehole, Aidan. I've gone off you now.
Yeah.
I'm joking,
Podcast
I'm
over.
joking.
What
Podcast
happened?
over.
Yeah, get out. Yeah, no
Now,
lucky strap for you.
I've got more questions about gear and traveling and stuff like that. But while
Yep.
we're on this topic, I wanted to ask you about planning, visualization, and that kind of thing. Because, like, I'm just going to pull this up. I've seen that you.
Oh God, I love this shot.
And I talked about. Yeah, I know.
Jesus.
You plan and even diagram shots in advance. And I wanted to hear a little bit about that process, but also ultimately I had the question, how often does the shot and the best shot from the shoot end up being what you plan to visualize? And then how often is that just part of the process, but it ends up completely evolving once the shoot unfolds and you come up with something, different altogether?
Yeah. I don't know in terms of like a percentage wise about like how often that, like in terms of, I earmark a shot like this one, say for instance, like in the Valley of the Gods in Utah, in the US, that, I earmark something as the shot and then therefore I capture it and then I still go, oh, that's a shot. Generally, I would say probably like, probably I've gotten more efficient with it. But I would say like 80, 90% of the time that if I draw something out, I get the right conditions and everything kind of lines up in terms of when I get to the location as well. Um, that is the shot. That's the one that I've
Yeah.
done my
Wow.
research for. That's the one that I've scouted. I've looked over Google Maps, I've looked at past images from that location in terms of whether it's just like a tourist or whatever like that. And that's the one that actually pulls through.
That's
Usually
great.
with
That's a
these,
high percentage. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of trial and error as well. Because say for instance, like with this one here, it's like you might be out there for a week. And you might get, I don't know, half an hour to get that shot, and it might be that time in the day that you're feeling it, you're not feeling it at all. But I think like when it comes to these sorts of things in preparation, I've gotten better and better in terms of knowing what works, but also doesn't work in terms of when I'm prepping. And like I do give the disclaimer that what works for me won't necessarily work, if you are shooting weddings or doing these sorts of things. Like it doesn't, or if say for instance, even if someone's shooting highlining as well, that's not necessarily a guarantee to be like, oh, if you draw it out like this or follow Aidan's this, that's going to work. I know that works for me, and that gives me a
Yeah,
really
of
good
course.
understanding. Like, say,
Yeah.
for instance, if you go back to or across two photos to the diagram, sorry, like in terms of this, if you kind of zoom in, you'll have like, yes, you'll have a shot, but then you'll also have where I'll be at particular times as well of the day and where I visualize that I need to be,
Okay.
what I need to do, and what kind of shot it will be as well. And
Yeah.
that gives me a really good understanding that when I get to that location, because usually I won't have time when I actually get to the location to be like, oh, I'll take like a day or two just to plan it out. It's usually ahead of time, and then it's like go, go, go. And I can obviously abbreviate it and change that, like in
Yeah.
altering it. But usually I'll give myself this space to go, okay, these are the spots, these are the locations, time frame that I think, where the sun will be, where the athlete could be. You
Yeah.
never know where they'll be,
Yep.
Yeah.
but they're the higher. You're pretty much playing with the idea that it's giving you the best chance of success.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's a great process because, you're not only visualizing, but you're cutting out a lot of that time once you actually are on site. You don't then need to go and scout necessarily. You still got to be flexible and adaptable and pivot with changes because there's, the sun's moving, the weather, the clouds are moving, everything's, on the go. But yeah, it's a great process. It reminds me of when I started film photography in art school, and we were
Yeah.
part of the the gear list is that you had to have a notebook and a pencil with you at all times because you were jotting down ideas, you were writing down camera settings for the shots you took, planning stuff, and we don't see that as much anymore. But it is refreshing to see that that you adopt that for your own personal approach.
Yeah, I think it kind of comes from, I think probably when I was doing my HSC, actually, everything's about a visual diary. I feel like
Yeah.
it's with visual
Right.
arts, everything's relating back to the
Yeah.
diary. And I kind of just kept it with me both to log what went right with shoots, what went wrong. Like it could be literally a technique that I need to nail for the next shoot or these sorts of things that I didn't do as well. But also I'd be like, oh, it's a really good space to just, you never know when an idea is going to hit either. Like you could literally be, you could be on it mid-flight, wherever, and you're like, oh, that's the idea, that's the shot, that's this, and you want to be able to actually put that into practice and be able to visualize that as well, because you don't want to be going up to like one of these sort of projects where, yes, they are higher stakes, just be kind of figuring it out because you're losing time, you're not as efficient, and you're
Yeah.
probably generally letting down the team as well. In that sort of realm, you want to be as prepped as possible, and if you're prepping all your other elements, you want to be prepping how you're shooting as well. And by all means, like with these sorts of things, it's not like a Bible of mine where I go, you can only shoot these spots. Like
Yeah,
it,
of course.
you get to a location, and if I do see something, and I do notice how the light falls on a particular angle in the shadows, and who knows, there could be a rainbow in it. I want to be able to know that, oh, that's actually a shot, or and you need to leave that kind of that little window open as well to have
Yeah.
that success in that element, because I've had shoots where I never thought that there would be a particular shot that is like the highlight of it. It ends up being that way, and that's a really nice place to be because you're like, oh, I just worked it out on the spot. I saw how everything fell,
Mm.
and I actually just acted accordingly, and I nailed it as well, which is the
Yeah.
ultimate thing. But if you kind of log everything in a diary and you nail everything from that brief or that you've set yourself, it's a pretty good feeling too. But
Yeah, of course.
it doesn't really fall that way. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fall that way all the time. Like there's so many
No.
variables.
But they do, there's that whole thing of poor, what is it? My boss used to say, poor preparation promotes piss poor performance.
Yeah.
That has stuck with me.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I learned from him. Good old Jeff. No, that's not true. Sorry, Justin, I hijacked your gear questions.
No. We'll get back to gear later. I want to know, so do you have any advice for photographers out there that have never tried this method before? I know it's going to be different because they're not on week-long shoots or whatever, but how could just us regular old photographers just try this method out? What would your advice be to just, how do we go about just giving it a try?
Yeah, so it definitely doesn't need to be a week-long shoot or anything like that, because that's just an extreme situation. Like I've done it
Mm.
for short lengths as well, where, it's just like an hour commercial shoot, or you're going out for the day or whatever like that. But I think it's like whether you actually use it or you don't, I think the process is actually the main thing from it, and that's a fundamental skill because it reinforces to you that you're not going out there just high and dry, willy-nilly, just
Mm.
hoping. You're actually going in with a plan, and it just helps you as well in learning how to prepare properly, like not for the team, but just for model or whoever you're working with, in whatever genre either. But actually,
Mm.
just for your own sake, it reinforces that your visions are actually you can put them into practice. It's not like, say, for instance, or if there's someone out there that photographs with models or fashion or anything like that, you don't want to go there and just be like, oh, it's just that outfit. You want to actually know how to direct them. You know how to get certain shots and stuff like that. It's complementary for them because you can just, but also it saves time and you're more efficient as well. But
Yeah.
I would say in terms of practicing, like literally, you don't need a diary or anything. You can do it on a napkin or a piece of paper or whatever you have around. A pen, pencil, anything, crayon, who knows? But I think just there's something magical about putting just something on paper. It can be anything. It can literally,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be a drawing. It can just be words. Like say, for instance, this isn't something people need to practice, but say, for instance, with me, every time before a shoot and then also after a shoot, I'll write just a little passage. It's just a self-reflection, like a letter to myself. No
Yep.
one's going to read it or anything like that, but it's just about things that I'm really happy that I nailed on the shoot, but also things that I feel like I can really improve upon. And that just puts it into perspective for me because I'm like, okay, I can give myself that review as well. And there's something really magical about just putting it on paper, allowing you to actually visualize it. And then you get to that location, or for the next shoot or whatever, you know really what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it to people. Like you don't need to do it or anything, and you might have a method that works. You might actually go, "What do you know, Aidan? I have photos on my phone, and of different poses, and why do I need to put it on a piece of paper?" But there's also like a really nice self-reflection because you need to be actually really, really present, and you need to be thinking
Yeah.
about what you're doing to actually put it onto paper as well, and that just reinforces it more.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
I
let's
think it's
face
a
it,
great idea.
using an app or jotting it on your phone, it's a great solution because we all carry a phone now. But the amount of time I've been writing an email or trying to get in touch with, and notifications are dropping in, you're not mindful at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go old school with a notebook and a pen or a pencil or a crayon,
Yeah.
you can shut all of that out and just
Yeah.
focus on the task. Yeah. And still today, I still carry a moleskin notebook or sketchbook with me wherever I go. I don't use it a lot, but every now and then, like if Justin and I have a meeting, I might, we might jot some stuff down on that. And yeah, I really love that process too.
Did you skin the mole yourself, or did someone do that for you?
No, I paid someone
make
to
it-
do that. That's
Okay.
yeah. I know. I'm
Nice.
not. Look, these hands. These are what make the magic. All right, I'm not putting these at risk.
All right, back to gear. I love that. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
That was definitely on my list of stuff to dig into.
That's a nice
about,
transition, by the way.
Yeah. Back to gear. Smooth as silk.
Moleskins.
Moleskins gear. So, okay. So primarily you would have a Z8, a 24-70, 7200, which just to confirm that was the 2.8 version, not the F4 version.
Yeah.
In case you end up with lower light and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes a Z6 III as a backup, and sometimes a wide angle, or as often as possible a wide angle as well.
Yeah.
What do you? Okay, let's pretend you're heading overseas. I think I saw somewhere that, and I don't know if I heard this wrong because it sounds quite insane. You said sometimes on trips you can go through 20 to 30 airports. Is that? Did I hear that right? Maybe that was a mega
airports.
trip. I think this was from years ago. I saw this somewhere. I can't remember. When
I don't know whether on one trip, like I don't know where this has been pulled from. I don't know whether it's one trip, but this year alone, September, holy moly. I've been on more than 50 flights just this year. So
right.
How many? Sorry.
So,
wow.
50. Okay.
Yeah, just this year.
So talk to me about what bag do you put all this stuff in, camera bag wise? Because I'm assuming on a lot of these trips you're also carrying obviously all of your gear for the rest of the trip, clothes and all that sort of stuff. Any gear that you need for your, because the team won't carry your harness and stuff. I assume they're not that nice. No, okay.
They're good friends, but
yeah. So
Not that.
you're trying to minimize your luggage and everything. How do you pack your camera gear, and then how do you get it onto a plane under the weight limits? Tell us
yeah,
about that.
that's
side of it.
so there's a few answers to this, and I'll kind of get through them. So in terms of bags, I've kind of you try and test quite a few. Like when I first started, f-stop was really big, and that
Yeah.
was kind of the go-to for adventure photographers. Like
Got a few of those.
if,
Yep.
if you're an adventure or sports photographer, you've got to have one, like that sort of
Yep.
thing, like that. And I have definitely tried bags like low pro and everything, which have always been really nice. But I've actually I find that when I was actually hiking and everything like that, even if it was just a day hike, that I just wouldn't have enough support, and I'd just be like,
Mhm.
I'd be tired. I'd like my back would be ruined anyway. And so I actually got a hold of one of the Shimoda X30s
Oh yeah.
with their range, and absolutely love it in terms of just support, everything like that. It has just kind of the duffel top, so you can just roll in, you can extend it, you can do all those sorts of things. So if I'm traveling
Yeah.
through airports, that's pretty much my best for carry on. If like there's going to be a lot of ifs in this because there's kind of different situations. If I'm just doing like day trips or like those sorts of things, then I'll just take the X30. That's more than enough for me because I can fit, three lenses in. I can just carry as well, like through like a peak clip, just a body on me as well. So it's more than enough. But if I am just going on a hike, um, of course I have yellow as well, by the way. Anyone
What's
who
that?
kind of knows me is like, oh, of course I have the yellow as well. Like anyone who
Oh,
kind of
the
knows me is
yellow.
like, oh, yeah. I was like, yes.
Okay,
But
so this is the one, the roll top. So it's the roll
yeah,
top. It's got a heap of space in it by the looks of it. You know what I like,
tons
because
of space.
I hate roll tops. I love that
Yeah,
they're expandable, but I hate having to get into them. But they
I
put
know
a
what you
zip
mean.
on this. Um,
Yeah,
the zip is there, so you don't actually have to unroll the
yeah.
roll top to get into that top. I reckon that's genius. Whoever come up with
Yeah.
that is a clever person.
So
Um,
so good.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah, nice.
yeah, it's more than enough space for me. And like with this one here, this one just I think it's just the base level X30 is more than enough for most people. I think you can either get the medium or large, and they also like inserts, and they actually fit into this one as well. So when I'm on a bigger one, I can actually just extend it, so I've got more in the back as well. So
Yeah.
you can
Okay. So
actually have
just
the room at the top. Sorry, I'm just like, and
yeah, I
you
see.
can actually extend that. So yeah, it does decrease your roll top, which can be a little bit of a pain, but also, to be honest, for me, and maybe I'm like in the minority here, but when I'm just fast working, like a roll top, I can just literally just shut my hand in, roll it
Yeah.
quick, like that sort of thing, rather than
Yeah.
trying to work out a zipper and get my
I've
down
got that on
jacket
my
out and
Wandered
stuff like that.
Provoke. I've got a Wandered
Yeah, yeah,
Provoke 21. It's got the roll top, and yeah,
so
I
good.
don't mind them. I don't like it when I've filled the roll top so much that it's coming up and banging me in the back of the head when I'm wearing it. But it
Every
is good
flight.
to just, if you just need to dump stuff in it quickly, like you've
Yeah,
got your gear down the bottom, which is accessible from the back. But yeah, I like the roll top because I can stuff a hoodie in there and a banana and stuff. So
yeah,
Couple of quick comments. Lisa Leach says, "Love my Shimoda."
yeah,
Matt talks photography. Matt Palmer, legend.
yeah, so
From
good.
Bright says, "I use the X30 for carry on as well. Works well. Have the larger one for local or camping."
Yeah,
The makers were partly inspired by the Darkine sequence bag designed for snowboard photographers maybe 15 to 20 years ago. I haven't seen
wow,
that's awesome.
have to hunt for
that's
that.
interesting.
I'm a constant bag. I'm always looking for the right bag. Don't have
Yeah.
it. Still haven't
No,
found
I
it.
know what you mean.
My current go-to is the Mindshift Rotation
Nice.
36 liter because it does
Such a
fit.
good design.
It's an amazing design, but if you've got it, only works because that Canon 7200 is compact enough to fit mounted in that waist pouch. As soon as your gear expands into the top part of the bag as well, it becomes useless because you're constantly like having to, it's not in this section, it's in that section. It's just a pain in the ass. So it's like it only really works if you can fit your whole kit in that little bottom rotation section. So yeah, it's interesting. Who else did I have? Oh, Tony, thanks for the $2.99. I know he's probably at work, so he's probably not listening anymore, but we appreciate it. He said it's this month's wheelbarrow rent. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either, Tony. What are you on about?
What are you on about? I have no idea, but I appreciate the $2.99. I'll have $1. Aidan will have $1, and Greg can get 99 cents.
Yeah,
so that'll work well.
I'll take it for the team.
And then there were a few, we got distracted before. There were a few questions earlier before we get back onto bags and packing and stuff. There was a few questions about, David Mascara said, sounds like you don't use a telephoto. Obviously the 7200 is a telephoto, but is that like the longest you use is that plus a teleconverter generally? So
there are exceptions to that. Like that's generally my kit. Like generally, if I do have something where there's an exception for like an extra long line, anything like that, I'll definitely use whether it's probably like a 6 or 800 as well. I've used as well, like quite a bit, like a Zeds, which are, but size wise, I don't think I'm really going to take that naturally. Like I find that 7200 is more than enough. But I do have the exception about getting longer too. That's like, yes, I could go 100 to 400 in that range and everything, but I kind of like having that crossover too, which is really nice for me. But yeah, it's a constant thought that I'm like, okay, what am I actually maximizing in my kit? Because I'd love to have these lenses, and it would be so nice to, I've had people that are like, oh, I'd take my X70, like 70 liter, and that's incredible. I have all these lenses. I'm like, that's the dream. But unfortunately, I'm trying to maximize, and usually as well, I'm away from home for quite a while as well. Like I'll be away for it could be a couple of weeks to a couple of months. So I'm usually from project to project to project, airport to airport, but I'm trying to keep my kit as refined as possible. So it would be nice to have those lenses, but unfortunately not all the time.
That's not to forget, you're also traversing some pretty crazy landscapes to get to a spot that works, and those spots may not be the signposted lookout. You're finding really unique locations and directions, so you've got to carry that gear with you up to that spot.
And that's the thing where it's like, yes, it's great to have all this gear, but you remember that you're the one who's hiking it all as well. You're going to be the one who's taking it for the next week, so you only have yourself to blame too.
Exactly. Apparently my side hustle's renting out wheelbarrows. I still don't know what that means. Tony, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I love
what
it.
Is that?
Okay, so you try and fit everything in the X30. What laptop are you rolling with when you're traveling?
So I've got at the moment, I think it's 13 inch MacBook Pro. 13 or 14. I can't remember what it is now.
14's the newer ones, I think.
14, yeah. There we go. So
amazing
good for it's perfect. Because I think I was running with a 2020 13 inch for like a while there, and when I started doing like all this video work as well on the side, and it just was a nightmare. I think my computer was hating me, so eventually just bit the bullet a couple of months ago and just upgraded my system. And I'll usually take that wherever I am. If I'm out for a week in the middle of nowhere, I won't take it. But it's otherwise, it just lives kind of with me.
Because there was a question from LTK Photos that said, do you edit on site or after your trips?
With this one, it depends about the client and the output of it. Like if it's a kind of world record, it sounds kind of funny because you'd think for a world record, it's like you're launching it straight away, kind of thing like that. But usually with those sorts of things, they're kind of, you with the team are kind of controlling the narrative. You're controlling when it comes out. So if you are in a remote place, usually you do have time frame. Usually the client's like, okay, when everything's ready, when it's ready with the short film, or when it's ready with this photo essay, we'll launch it, that sort of thing like that. But say, for instance, like with Red Bull, I'm editing on site. I'm delivering usually within 30 minutes to an hour after the shoot.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, Jeff Cable was telling us last week. Yes, we had Jeff Cable on, people. That his deadline went from early days where it was weeks and days. Now his deadline is 14 minutes from the event.
14 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and he will edit on site and then deliver.
It's crazy.
And then get to the next event. Like just phenomenal.
Well, yeah, I was talking to a couple of the press guys that like shoot at Olympics as well, and I was just like, because I've come out of press and then I've come back into like adventure sports and like doing all these sorts of things where usually timeframes like they're quick and not that quick, like 14-minute wise, and I'm just always looking to get better and better and better. And they're like, oh, ours just gets sent off like within like 15 seconds to an editor offsite, and they do it. I'm just like,
yeah,
we can.
That doesn't
all
help
be
me
fancy,
get quicker,
like
but
yeah.
where's my
crazy.
editor?
Yeah. Where's your cloud editor? Just up there.
Yeah.
But that's a dream. So
yeah, exactly. You can dream.
Yeah. One day.
Right. So that's basically now. Okay. So what does that thing weigh, and how do you get it on planes when almost all carry on is still like 7 kilos? And by the time, I went to New Zealand. I put the R5 Mark II, the 28 to 70, the 16 to 28, and the 7200. And I only took the F4. I borrowed Grant's F4 7200, which weighs like the Canon one. It weighs like, I don't even, nothing, 700 grams or something. Just those and my MacBook, and I was overweight. I had nothing else in the bag.
You apply?
Was it Jetstar?
It was, I flew with Jetstar, Qantas, and Air New Zealand. All of them were 7 kilos carry on.
Okay. I've stopped flying, like, honestly, it doesn't matter who people fly with, but as a photographer, I've stopped flying with Jetstar completely.
I love it.
So I was flying with them, and I would always get picked up on weight. Like, even with, similar to you in terms of like 2 lenses, a body, then you've got like a series of batteries and like a power bank or whatever it is, you're always overweight, and laptop.
It's so easy to overfill. Like, and I shoot with a Fuji kit, which is tiny, and I've been pulled up on weight before.
Even like 10 kilos would be enough. That's the thing. It's like 10 kilos would be enough. I could make that work most of the time, but it's like it's always 8 even with the bare minimum. Yeah. So okay, so what do you do?
Nothing.
You just don't fly Jetstar? Is that the secret?
So pretty much, long story short, I stopped flying them because I was even getting picked up for like a couple of it would have been like, I would be barely over it, like 7.1, 7.2, and they'd be like, no, you're gonna have to pay the extra $36 or whatever. And I was like, come on, it's like, and, but like I try and shift as much weight to like my check baggage as possible, like, but then you still, regardless with equipment, you have to put it in your it's like you can use hard cases and stuff, but if you're flying internationally, like
I've done that. I've had to do that in the past for snowboard trips to Japan, where I took extra if I take a spare camera body. It is, I put it in a hard case, put it in my snowboard bag, and tried to packed it in between boots so that they would take like the pressure and all that kind of stuff. But you still get there and you're like, open the case and you're like, oh. Hey!
Is there a cracked LCD? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
But then I see people who travel like for brands. So like, I remember Lee DeProse, who used to work with Fujifilm, and he'd come to Melbourne from Sydney, and he would just have it was like a Pelican case, but it was a soft case, and he just chucked it under the plane. And a couple of mates of mine who travel a lot, repping products, they don't care. They just chuck it under the plane. There's, they put it in socks and wrap it in a jumper and just, $2,000 lens, like, it'll be fine. There is a comment here from Levin Barrett of Rare View Photography. So Levin has been a past guest, but he's also a commercial airline pilot.
For Jetstar.
And he said for Jetstar.
Not kidding.
The difference is Jetstar weighs your carry-on. The others have the same rules, but they never check it.
And he also says, thanks for paying my wage.
Happy to help, Levin. Happy to help, mate.
Yeah, great, anything to help. But I've had it where, like, when I was traveling for work, and I was traveling, like, I don't want to just Jetstar, but I was having to pay. It was like, and you never can add carry-on. You can add check, but you can never add carry-on. Like, it was really frustrating.
You can add carry-on with Jetstar now, I think. Or maybe it's only on certain routes. It's so you can go to 14 kilos carry-on, but it's like $60 or $80.
No way.
They probably do that on like Melbourne to Sydney, when a lot of people go up for the day and they don't have much check luggage, so they probably can deal with the weight.
Yeah, but what's crazy is like the checked luggage is, if you want like 40 kilos of checked luggage, it was about half the price of getting 14 kilos
Jeez.
of carry-on. It was, yeah, but
No.
I gave them credit because I was like, well, I've always complained that they don't give you an option, and now they're at least giving you an option, but the option was insane. So
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well, at least you've got the option now. But so the way
yeah.
that, like, hopefully, I was going to say, hopefully there's no airlines listening, but we've already had a link to
Levin's
Jetstar,
listening.
and you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Levin's
yeah.
taking
But
notes, taking names.
yeah.
You just
Just
made the
blur my
blacklist, buddy.
name, everything now.
Yeah.
But what I did find that actually generally works, and hopefully, people actually use it, but also it doesn't come back to bite me now because people do use it. That so generally when I'm flying, say for instance with Virgin, first of all, they don't weigh it. And if they do weigh it, what you can do as well is, and I have done it, is they allow you to take a bag plus a personal item. They don't specify generally about how heavy your personal item could be. So a laptop with 10 batteries generally passes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
lightweight.
usually when I'm traveling on the plane, it's usually about 15 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the key is like, you got to make it look light and small, and
In your pockets and
in your pocket. Yeah. So that's the other secret is you travel with a jacket, hopefully a lightweight jacket, but one with tons of pockets, and you put I put all my batteries. The batteries are in all the pockets. So that worst case, if I see the person, don't listen to this, Levin. If I see the person coming down to weigh the bags, you pull the jacket out, you hang it over your arm. You put your headphones around your thing, and you just, like everything you can get out of the bag, you get out. But that's actually a great idea so if you have your laptop in like a separate little slip sleeve that can also have, say, some batteries and stuff in it. It looks small, it looks like a little personal thing. It's like, is it worth weighing that? Probably not. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
But apparently the big flag for them with non-Jetstar airlines is like, if you've got like a wheelie roller and an extra bag, it's those people where they're like, you're basically trying to travel with all of your luggage as carry-on. So it's interesting.
Just a point of clarification for our friend David Mascaro, who's in the Bay Area of San Francisco. Is that your guys' main airline? So Jetstar is owned by Qantas, or it's a subsidiary of Qantas. Qantas is our main domestic and international carrier, at least they used to be. And we've also got Virgin, and Jetstar is kind of the budget. What's the equivalent in the States, Justin?
It's like flying with Spirit, David.
There you go.
It's like when people say that they got a cheap Spirit fare and then that was delayed or cancelled, and or
overbooked,
or overbooked. Exactly. It's a lot of that kind of level. Anyway, whoop. Oh, hang on. Well, let's just read this since I brought it up anyway. Jason's here. Hey, Jason. I saw a story of last year of two girls who wore about 10 layers of clothes and probably wouldn't have fitted in the seats. That's pretty good.
One of my kids came back from visiting family in Tassie, and they only had carry-on, and because they'd gone op shopping and bought a bunch of stuff, they had to wear multiple layers just to get through. Yeah, pretty much wear it all back.
Like that scene out of Friends where Joey puts on all of Chandler's clothes.
All at once.
And does lunges.
Yeah, you just kind of just waddle into the airport.
Hopefully there was good aircon on the flight as well.
Yeah, you'd hope.
You get so hot because I try and you try and go wear say your jacket or whatever, but you end up in the airport in a t-shirt and you've just got jackets and shit piled everywhere because you're trying to travel with all your clothes outside of your bags.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, so that's the secret to traveling. Any other essential gear, like non-camera lens stuff? Any other essential stuff that you take on big projects?
Yep. So it's kind of going back to bags in a little bit. One that I found that's been super helpful for me is because when I am on longer trips and everything like that, and I'm hiking for long distances, I don't want to take two backpacks or anything like that. So what I've actually started doing is that you can start getting lids for hiking backpacks that are just camera related.
Oh.
So it's called the hiking brain, which is just the top of the backpack. And you can actually there's camera brands now, also backpack manufacturers that are allowing you to replace it with a camera top, and so they have the insert everything, but on top of the hiking backpack, so you can take all your stuff, but it's just on top of the hiking bag. So that's been a game changer for me, because usually it's either trying to find an insert for the hiking backpack, or wrapping it in like down jackets and all these sorts
Yeah.
of things that are a little bit iffy. That's been a big one for me.
I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. What? So, is there a brand that it is, or
I think who is it at the moment? I'm just trying to think who actually is doing it.
So is it like a
It's a clever
separate
idea.
bit that you kind of strap down to the top of your backpack?
So yeah, you just strap it to the top.
Is that
Because I know Rushfaster, which is an Aussie brand, I think they just released a new. They've got two versions of their new everyday carry backpack, and one of them is a pro version, and it's got like a separate pouch that you can attach to the back of the bag. It's got like compression straps, and then you can use that as a snowboard or a skateboard holder, because it creates like a loop that everything can go through.
That's it.
Really clever design.
Osprey's doing it. Sorry,
Osprey.
Yep. And it's just an Osprey photo lid, so it pretty much just replaces the top of the hiking bag, and so that you can actually just put your camera, everything in there, and just zip it up. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's check. Let's look at this thing. All right.
Photo lid. Wow, that's cool.
So I think it's the third photo.
Don't want to watch that.
If you go
here we go.
down.
Come on.
So it just straps to the top there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look at the size of that backpack. He could fit in that bag.
Yeah, it's massive.
But I think they have a photo of the insert if you keep going down.
Yeah, there's one if it open.
Yeah, okay. So it just ends up, which obviously not ideal to have all of your your heaviest weight top heavy, but when you've got a bag like packed with like all your other stuff anyway, it's probably not going to make a massive difference, and at least you can access the gear.
And at least the downward force is supported by the straps.
Yeah. So it kind of evens out, which is nice. But yeah, I definitely agree about top heavy. But yeah, if you're kind of balancing out your bag, you're pretty good. But it just means that you at least having some, like, one, you're having good access to your gear without carrying it on your front. But also, like, you can just easily get it out.
And it's clever. You can just turn it into a sling.
No, it's a bum bag. It's a fanny pack, Greg. That's sweet.
Haven't heard that for a while. Fanny pack.
It's stylish.
Check it out. Look at it. That is stylish.
Hey, look at him. Hey, check out my butt, everyone. That's what he's saying.
That's a very clever idea. I assume it probably only works with Osprey packs, because packs don't have a standard top thing, do they? No.
You do have companies like Low Alpine and everything like that are similar to Osprey. I don't know about like translating across though. I think they're strictly for Osprey. But if you're generally taking photos and you've got an Osprey hiking backpack anyway, then like it's a really good idea. It's definitely not for everyone, because you might just literally have one body, like a small body, small lens, and you're like, well, why do I need that whole top section? It's a little bit of a waste. But it's a nice little luxury.
And also, it's fair to say you can never have too many camera bags.
No,
it's good to have options.
Are you really a photographer if you're not collecting?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you should see my. Oh my gosh, I need to get rid of some of this stuff.
It's just a wall.
It is a wall, and I've sold
bags
multiple
and straps.
I've sold it. That's exactly what it is, and other stuff. I've sold multiple f-stop bags, and I've still got two, and I don't use either of them.
Really?
I don't have any inserts anymore. Jim's got my main insert. I don't know where the other one went. So I've just got two empty, like, sad skins of f-stop bags just sitting on the shelf. I'm like, I should sell these. One of them's like tragic. The big hiking one too. It is tragic. No. There's so much stuff just sitting there doing nothing. Maybe
they're so sad without the inserts.
I know. Although they kind of are, as just a general backpack, it was not too bad. I think Yelena traveled with one of my f-stop, like my 38-liter one, as just a travel like carry-on bag.
Oh, nice.
And the rear access, if you like organize your clothes in there, it's actually kind of nice to just use as a bag.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but what is that? What is that pursuit? Sorry, what is that pursuit for the perfect camera bag? A camera bag company is just messing with us. They know what we want, but they leave one little thing out of each one. So you look for
I think so.
No, the issue is, I think here are the issues. One, it's really, really hard to make a bag. Two, you can't please everybody. Everyone wants something slightly different.
Yeah.
And three, the compromise on cost longevity of the bag and all that sort of stuff. And then I think this one is, I'm going to dig it into the camera bag companies a little bit. As they get better and better at being a camera bag company, the people that design the bags possibly get further and further away from being a traveling full-time photographer. And I know there are the bag companies do take a lot of feedback on and stuff like that, but ultimately it always ends up resting in the hands of the designer. And the designer is not Aidan, and it's like you start to lose in translation. They've got to try and figure out how to make it at an affordable price that they can make sure it'll last for 10 years and all that sort of stuff. And you start to lose those we really wanted it to do this. So,
it's a hard one because I know when I've spoken to people, say for instance, at camera brands, they'll be like, oh, I'd really love if, say for instance, with Shimoda, I was like, hey, this would be really nice. And they're like, yeah, but everyone else loves that.
That's
we're
right.
not going to change that. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I can't be that exception. But
it's funny though, because they often say that and you're like, do they though? Or is that just, do they? It's, Anyway, I don't envy them. I actually, honestly, I wanted to start a camera bag brand. That's how Lucky Stripes came into existence. But there was just no way we could make it in Australia. And that's kind of what I wanted to do originally. So I still have goals to maybe one day make camera bags, but I know that it's not easy. It looks so tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're covering so many bases as well. It's not like you're just going, just creating a satchel or anything. It's no. Generally, I say this, but generally there'll be better bags for different genres of photography as well.
Exactly.
You're never going to have everyone from every genre going, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. The companies that I look towards typically didn't start as bag manufacturers. So, for example, I mentioned Rush Faster earlier. They were just a review site. They did laptop sleeves and a couple of other little travel accessories, but they mostly did travel gear videos about bags and slings and, EDC carry stuff. And now they're releasing their own products. And often those brands who have spent, a decade first reviewing products and testing them and taking them out and all of that, they're the ones that end up producing some of the best gear because they've had so much hands-on with so many different brands that they can see all the tips and tricks that everyone's using. And then eventually they put out their own product and it's a winner. But you had a question.
I'll get back to Jason's question in a second. First, I'll just Nev's comment here. Love my, is it Compagnon? German made from.
You got to say it in a German
materials.
accent, Justin. Do it again in German.
I'm not doing that. German made from recycled materials. I thought about it. I was going to try, and then I was like, no. This is a live internet show. Yeah, German made, waterproof too, properly. I'll have to check those out. I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah, I reviewed a Compagnon. I called it Compagnon, but that's just a speech impediment. For Shock Kit years ago, and it was like an $800 or $900 bag. It was crazy expensive. Beautiful, but you pay for it.
Yeah.
The question we had before was, this one here. Jason says, solid state weatherproof backup drive. Okay, tell me this. When you first got into, you're like, I want to be an adventure photographer. Jimmy Tin's fucking cool as shit. Did you want to get a lacy, rugged, those orange rugged drives? I wanted one for so long. Did you ever get one of those? I got one eventually, but it's not solid state.
So I when I was studying and I had that inspiration of it was definitely all the pros are using this. This is the thing. But I think when I was just kind of a poor TAFE student, I had no money. You're trying to buy enough gear, and you've got a prime lens and a body and that's it, let alone for storage. I think, to be honest,
it's a $99 drive just with orange tape wrapped around it, or
makeshift. But it was funny because I actually, what was it? It would have been after my first year. I had some success in terms of with some photos and everything like that. And I think I actually won a competition with Australian Photographic, and they sent me 4 of them.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I was like,
Score.
I don't know. This is the best prize ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's come down in price now, but gosh,
Yeah.
used to be so expensive.
Yeah.
You know, that and a Photoshop subscription back
Yeah.
in the
I know,
day.
but
Mortgage.
the problem is every amazing photographer that was going on an amazing adventure would post a flat lay of their laptop and their passport and their lacy rugged drive. And you were like, well, this is the only way that I can possibly make it into this world. It was so.
Well,
anyway.
I loved them. I was just, I was like, I finally got enough storage. I've got, a great system. And then I think, to be honest, maybe I'm the only person. I hope I am. But then they literally just started corrupting one by one, and
No.
I was a little bit off lazy.
Oh no! Okay, so
I've got
what are you using?
4 of those orange
took the
drives,
orange
and 2 of them have died.
2 of them have died, Greg.
Yeah. I mean, I've had them for a very long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's such a bummer. So I would have probably been using them still to this day.
Yeah.
I hope this is okay.
Well, I mean,
I don't
I don't know if I've still got
with SSDs, like I've got these little SanDisk.
They had
SSDs.
some problems though early on, Greg.
Yeah, they did. This is
massive recall.
But this is the better one.
Yeah, they sorted it out, but those first ones, geez, there was some hate on the internet after they all corrupted. Yeah. That went bad. So, all right. So, what are you using now? Like, if you travel, do you take drives with you, or do you just send them up to the clouds straight when you're in the middle of nowhere?
I mean, you're so close to them.
Unfortunately,
yeah, exactly.
Really good reception as well.
Yeah.
But no, so I've kind of figured out, like, and I guess that's the luxury, or with photography as well, like, and videography especially, because nothing fine tunes things like videography, like, to be honest, because you need to sort it out really quickly with your backup systems, because it's so much. But you can always just or you have to kind of keep evolving things. So now, like, when I'm at home, like where I'm now, I'll use just a twin base like RAID system, which is really really nice. That's both like in terms of like I'll have that physically here, but then I'll also have it like via cloud based. But when I'm on the road, obviously I can't take that with me. So what I'll do is I'll usually be running like when I'm out on a remote project, I'll be running like backup cards as well, like backup SD cards as well. If I don't have my laptop there, so at least you've got like those backups there on the spot. And then I'll run twin SSDs as well, because usually you're working quite quickly as well, and you can offload. So at least you're getting a backup as well. I do have a cloud-based system, but generally I don't use that as much, because usually I'll be from a project filing, and then I'll be trying to upload. You're in an airport or something where there's not really the greatest Wi-Fi or these sorts of things. It's just a nightmare, to be honest, with these. So usually I'll be running 20 SSDs. That's more than enough, and then I'll be just offloading when I get home. I wish I could just do like cloud-based as well, but it's also a nice little luxury to have it still on SSDs with me, because after a project, someone will be like, "Hey, we've got a message from, I don't know, an output or a client or something. Do you have that one photo from this angle?" And I'll be like, "I'll look through, I'll grab it."
Yeah.
But I don't know if that answers your question, but it seems to work so far for me.
David Mascara has a quick question. Are we talking hundreds of exposures per day or more? Yeah, like what, like an average day of shooting while out on a project? How much shooting do you actually do, and how many shots do you end up having to go through?
So I've changed this a lot, like with my approach, because you can kind of go trigger happy with these sorts of things, but like when you're coming back from a 10-day project, you don't want to be going, "Oh, I've got thousands upon thousands of images." You want to be getting to it. So like if I'm generally, like, the longer the project, it kind of doesn't make sense. The longer the project, the less photos I'm actually shooting, because I'll really measure it out. So like, say for instance, if I'm going on a shoot, I've had 10-day ones where I've shot like 1,000 images, like, and that's it.
Okay.
But I've also had things where, say for instance, I'm shooting like a world record in a day. I'm going trigger happy. You might shoot 6,000 images in a day, and that's okay. But if it was working my traditional way, I would probably only be firing off 500 to 1,000 frames across a project, and that's more than enough for me. But because generally when they're on the line, you can kind of compose things, like unless it's a really particular moment where you're firing off. So you can actually wait. It's not like someone's doing.
Well, they're not going anywhere, are they?
Yeah.
Not in a hurry, anyway.
Yeah.
Slowly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slowly. Yeah, exactly. He's getting away. All right. So I'm mindful we're coming up on 2 hours. I've got like a million things written down that I haven't got to.
You got 3 other pages.
Pretty much. No, not really. It's all on one page, but it's a
big book.
It's a big.
Oh, is that like an A3 page?
Yeah. I like to be able to scribble.
Nice.
So what I'm thinking, what do I want to ask about? I want to look at some of your photos quickly and just have you tell us like anything that pops into your head.
Yeah.
But maybe before we do that, we probably don't have enough time to talk about it in detail, but I wanted to talk about video, because it sounds like you're doing more and more video work. Clients, obviously, whoever's paying for the shoot probably is looking for video, and that's a good way for you to be like, look, I can do this as well. So it's worth you flying me to the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
How did you learn video? When did that happen? Was it because people were saying, hey, can you make a little video at the same time?
Yeah. First of all, like with kind of the demands, I think that's a really important one, because at the moment, like whether it's just on for a brand or whether it's for social media or whatever like that, more and more there's an expectation for, hey, can you shoot both? Like it's just, you want to be like, I get it from the other side, because they want to be minimizing who's actually contracted and maximizing output. So like say for instance, like in 2 days I head to China and they're like, hey, can you shoot a documentary as well as stills on a project? Which is a lot to ask, but it's also like an expectation as well. Thankfully not for every shoot, because I think I'd have serious bags under my eyes and I'd be like, I don't know, like, but how I got into it, actually another one where I kind of fell into it in a way, because so starting in press, there was an expectation like you need to start implementing this, because even if it's just 30 seconds, you can have that. And I was kind of the end of that with press, where I didn't thankfully have to implement it too much. Like I started shooting it for jobs, but it wasn't like, it was just like a little grab kind of thing. Like, and so I didn't go into it too far, but I actually kind of fell into it in a way where once COVID hit, I couldn't travel, I couldn't do any of this, like my main sources of income. And I actually got asked by like the Australian Olympic team to shoot for them video. And I actually said to them openly and honestly, anyone else would be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. But I was like, guys, my video experience is like mainly shooting with a GoPro. It's not really, that high, like verging onto broadcast quality, documentary. That's not my, and they're like, you'll be fine. I was like, guys,
okay.
And thankfully for the person, like, he was a really good friend of mine, is another photographer who recommended me for that job, because I don't know whether I'd actually have applied for it. And I kind of got thrown in the deep end with it, where when you're working with gold medalists, whether it's, like I was mainly in paddle sports, so whether it's your rowing teams, your sprint, your slalom, like these sorts of people, you're working with gold medalists that they're used to working with the best. So you need to deliver. There's no, here's kind of really poor quality in-shot video, through the app, it doesn't, it's not that. So I had to learn really quickly, and it would have taken me, I'd say 2 years to feel like it wasn't imposter syndrome, like per se, but to be really confident in my ability. I was producing edits and everything like that for events, and I thought they were good, but I didn't know if they thought they were good. That kind of, and they'd come back with feedback and they'd be, oh, we love this. This is the best video ever, or whatever. And I'd be like, is it?
Okay.
I didn't really have that experience to know. But I just, again, tried to upskill myself so quickly that I'd be on top of it if they did ask. And it kind of got me into a really nice position where I was pushing myself in so far out of my comfort zone that you kind of in a new territory for yourself, where you get things that you probably wouldn't have expected. And I found myself in the position where I was working with the Olympic team. So I was like, well, I can actually do more with this as well. So I decided to challenge myself and self-funded a documentary. So I was, and as you do, you're in COVID as well. So what else do you have to do?
Yeah.
Back to your 5 kilometer radius. But
Yeah.
I actually threw myself in the deep
Ooh,
end.
shivers.
Yeah. And yeah, I actually threw myself in the deep end, and there was no expectation. I was in a position where I had a really good relationship with the athletes and everything like that. And I thought, oh, I'm getting better at skill level wise, that I can actually put this forward. There's no expectation about outcome, but it will be a really good process for development for myself. But also, like, hopefully, I'm putting out something that just no one's ever seen. So I proposed the idea to gold medalist Jess Fox, who's actually, yeah, she's Penrith local, which is about like half an hour from where I am at the moment. And I had like a really nice relationship with her growing up, because when you're going through TAFE, you want to shoot anything and everything sport related. And in Penrith, unless you're shooting rugby league, there's not a massive amount of sport. Like, you've got cricket now and rugby union league and all these sorts of things, but there's not a lot of sport around Penrith. So it was once you've exhausted rowing, it's like slalom, okay, rugby union, whatever you got, like, and so fortunately enough, I had met her through that, and so I pitched the project to her, and it was meant to be this short little thing, and it worked out to be about a year-long documentary on her preparation before she won gold in Tokyo. So it was actually this amazing thing where no one had actually documented that experience from her, because generally you see from the commercial point of view, or race wins, it's just a celebration and a really nice interview because she's so genuine and down to earth. But you also wonder, I have a really big appreciation with her, but also now when I'm working with these amazing highliners and extreme athletes, about what actually goes in behind the scenes. And that's when you see someone win a gold, especially, like, well, how do they get there? And I was really fortunate enough to get myself in a position where I had the trust of an athlete, so I could shoot this documentary, but I could also upskill myself throughout the process. And, like, not everything goes well. Like, you can't just shoot everything, cinematically and, when there's so many variables. But it was one of the best experiences that I had as well, because I learned so much from that now I can kind of carry it on to commercial projects. And, if someone does ask for video, I know exactly how to nail that as well.
All right. I have a question. That is amazing. And it shows that is a common theme amongst your story is putting yourself into a situation where, all right, it's time to learn. This is something new, but I'm going to do it. And then, whether it's getting into the sport of highlining or learning video, you just go for it, which I love.
Yeah.
What I want to know, if anything can come to the top of your mind, for those photographers that see video as kind of this mysterious thing, like video sounds, I've had to learn it as well. It sounds like you said with highlining and climbing, where it's like you only know what you know, and then you keep unlocking these extra levels of shit that you didn't know existed, that you now don't know that you need to learn. Like, it doesn't matter how much video you learn, all of a sudden you're like, you're watching some editing tutorial and they're like, oh yeah, so you just pull up your scopes and check your scopes and see and I'm like, scopes? What are scopes? This is insane. It looks like some sort of crazy graphic thing. I don't even know what they mean. Anyway, so someone early on, when I was having all this trouble trying to learn video and take the leap, I was watching too many YouTube videos and not filming anything to actually learn. A guy called Jared Seng, who's a photographer from Perth, he gave me some advice and said, man, they're just pictures that move. Like, he's like, don't overthink it. Like, just pretend it's a photo and then hit the record button, stop worrying about it. Because I was asking him about stabilizers and all this stuff, and he was like on tour shooting the band Passenger, making videos for him. I'm like, what stabilizer do you use? He's like, stabilizer? I just hold the camera like this. He's like, it's just a photo that moves. I was like, okay. Do you have any advice for photographers that want to learn video from when you sort of thought that it was maybe something more complex than it is, or not sure where to start? Do you have any advice?
So I think, I think with video, it's always going to be something that's complex. Like, you can't completely downplay it. Like, it's always going to have a lot of kind of strings or legs to it. Like, that's just the nature of it. But you can also do things to simplify it for yourself. And I think the way I look at it is that, and like maybe there's people who would disagree with this, but it helps me is that it's a lot easier as a photographer to do video than video as a photographer. That's the thing. So if you're like, and hey, I'm sure people would disagree with that, and that's fine. But for me, I was like, if I'm simplifying a whole event in one photo, or if I'm shooting a photo essay, I'm actually deconstructing it so that now I can actually continue that and actually evolve it and grow it, and it's actually just an extension of it. Whereas, say for
Yeah.
instance, you're doing a video of a whole event. Okay, take a photo of this. You're like, what of?
Yeah.
How do I simplify that? So I think you have when you learn to deconstruct everything, you actually know how to build it back up. And that really helps me with video because I wasn't like, thankfully I had a good eye, like when I was quite, so that I could pick up these things and learn the technical elements of it. So when I kind of picked that up with video, I was like, okay, this is what it should look like. Oh, maybe I just need to hold this frame longer to extend this. And oh, this is how this transition should look. That would be really complementary. So like it does help you a long way. But I think, if people are just starting out, the easiest way, it's probably the hardest way, but just shoot. Don't like, yes, you can look at endless tutorials. Like it's a bit overwhelming and on anything and everything. Like even if it's just working at like frame rate, what frame rate do I need to shoot? But I think that the best thing is shooting and then like slowly building it. Like if you're wanting to do something that's primarily just footage based, it's nothing to do with audio or anything like that. Okay, just shoot. Maybe if you need to stabilize, get it, like use your tripod. Okay, a UV moving, maybe a gimbal. If you're starting to implement audio, okay, maybe think about a mic. Is it going to be on person? Does it need to be like, or is it just off? Does it need to be just a shotgun? Like these sorts of things. So you can slowly just build it. And because rarely do you need just like straight off the bat, you need everything. Like most shoots don't need necessarily everything. Like it would be a pretty fantastic one if you needed everything. So
Yep. Okay, great advice.
Absolutely.
All right, we're running out of time. I really want to look at some photos. Oh, I'm going to have to ditch all my other questions. We'll have to.
Sorry, guys, I got talking.
No,
don't be sorry.
It's
It's perfect. This is what we do.
So I'm thinking I'm just going to pull up some images. Maybe I'm just going to your website and just pull up some of the iconic ones.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean
can
all
just
of them?
tell us. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just some of all of the amazing ones. You can just tell us anything that pops into your mind. This is a Nat Geo photo. Was this on a cover of?
Yeah. So this was my first ever Nat Geo photo, and thankfully, like it was a cover. But I don't like. First of all, how long do I have? Because I can tell you stories behind them as well, but I might go over time.
I probably have to be out of here in like 20 minutes, so you can go as much as you want. Well, we can just do. I mean, there's like 2 or 3, like this one and 2 or 3 others that I really want to have a look at. We don't have to go through all of them, but I really want to look at like the fireworks one, the crazy one from Portugal with the wave. Like, so there's a couple that I really want to talk about. So you can go.
I'll be sure.
You can go deep if you want.
Okay. Because this was thankfully my first Nat Geo photo, and it was another one about, I guess, I know you've mentioned it here, but like also earlier, that it's about putting yourself in that position and then like embracing that. And this was actually one where I was really, really lucky to get on this project. So this was my first in terms of like world record project. I hadn't done anything on this scale. Like I'd done some amazing photos and been on amazing projects, but a full away trip with a team and sponsors and everything like that. So 3 days, I believe, before this trip, the photographer actually pulled out of this event, and I got asked to join in, and it was like, hey, if you can get there. So I self-funded myself to get there. And I know there's a lot of people that be like, oh, if you're sponsored, then they should just pay. But at the last moment, when you're trying to prove yourself, you get yourself there. You don't even think twice about it.
I love that. Oh, so set the scene. How far into your highlining photography career was this? How far after that first trip to France was this trip? How many years?
So this year would have been 5 5 weeks from when I landed in France.
Oh my God. As in, this was
Yeah.
5 weeks into your highlining photography career, basically.
Pretty much. Like, well, it would have been like it probably would have been 3.5 months since I'd like known about highlining and shot it. But then this was 5 weeks from when I'd actually booked that book that one-way trip to France, and this is 5 weeks in.
Oh
Can I
my
just ask,
God.
you're perched somewhere, obviously somewhere probably precarious, taking this shot only months after starting this genre. Did that just blow your mind that look where I am now?
You're probably going to laugh at this because I learned a really valuable lesson from this one because I was so fixed and like just dogged and determined and probably just stubborn that I wanted to prove myself on this project that I didn't know about that this was like the shot, but I also didn't necessarily like it sounds really bad and kind of jaded that I didn't actually enjoy it in terms of that this moment. And I should
Oh,
have.
wow.
And that's a really valuable lesson that I learned afterwards. But I was so in the mindset of I need to prove myself. This is one of the world's best. I need to do a good job. So I got this shot. Next one, I was just running around like a headless chook trying to nail these things and prove myself. I was working until 11 p.m. at like a cafe that like nearby that I think it was 2 megabytes. Like I think it was every.
Was it dial
It was
up?
dreadfully.
Dial up internet?
Yeah,
Oh,
trying
gosh.
to file to clients and like of this project and and I actually after this it was probably like maybe in the last 2-3 days of this project, this athlete Samuel Bollery from Switzerland pulled me aside and was like, "Man, what are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like I'm shooting this project, I'm doing my best, I'm trying to capture these amazing images." And he's like, "Mate, you're on one of the most spectacular projects that they've rigged in the world, and you're not enjoying it. You're not actually soaking up where you are. People come from all around the world to be in this location in Greece,
Yeah.
and all you're doing is just this. Enjoy it. Step back. Clients can wait. Enjoy it." And I was like, whoa, like I had no idea because it wasn't like a client was telling me this, it was the athlete telling me to actually step back and just enjoy it. And it's something that I take with me today because I'm like, you're in these beautiful locations with amazing athletes. These are places that people might wait their life to go to visit that beach down there for an hour, and then they go back on a ferry and back to the other side of the world. And you're actually here. You're not actually enjoying it. You're not appreciating it for what it is. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that special until probably the next week afterwards when it started to get a bit of traction. And then fast forward a couple of months later, it was on front cover and Nat Geo.
Wow.
That's amazing.
What great advice from that athlete too,
Yeah.
just to be able to stop
Yeah.
and breathe and like stop stressing quite as much. He's like, "Hey, it's all going well. Just it's fine, you know."
Yeah.
Because it is easy to stress out, well, especially when you're pushing yourself, or if you've got a big client, a big job, something that maybe is slightly out of your comfort zone. And I think even when we were talking to Jeff Cable last week, he said he still gets nervous before every shoot. Not nervous like I don't know if this will work, but just that you're like you want to perform, you don't want to muck it up.
Yeah.
And he's shot 8 Olympic Games, and he still gets slightly kind of nervous about how the shoot's going to go. So I think there's good elements to that to make sure you perform, but obviously if it's too much, you're not in the moment. So that's what a legend giving you that advice on the spot there.
I know, right?
Instead of just letting it go and being like, oh, that guy was a bit stressed out,
Yeah. Won't shoot with him again.
He's going to burn out. Yeah.
I think it's and like I've heard athletes talk about it in the past as well. And also other adventure photographers. That it's like if you're not nervous or anything like that, then there's something probably wrong. Like nerves are actually good. They're good.
Yeah.
You want to
that's it.
Yeah,
harness
it's your brain's
shows
way
that
of
you
telling you
care
this is something
about
you
it.
need to be cautious about. You need to care about this. This is important.
And I used to say this before, like
Tell her why.
every wedding that I used to shoot, even like 8 years into it, still got nervous until the day got flowing. Was still nervous about how it would all go. what the weather was going to do and all that kind of stuff. And not nervous, again, like I don't know how to do this, but just like, you want to make sure it works. And honestly, I still get nervous before every podcast interview we do.
Yeah, same.
Like, I hope the guest, has a good time.
Do
And
you?
I hope the listeners, every single one, absolutely, yeah. Until it gets started, and then I can relax a little bit. But they're sort of the morning I wake up, I go to the gym, and come home and have a coffee and all that sort of stuff. And that whole time I'm thinking about how it's gonna start and trying to get it right in my head before we go live. So I think you're spot on. Like there's a healthy amount of nerves that show that you care and you're trying to do a good job.
Yeah. For sure.
But also, I think just to add to it, that when I'm nervous before a shoot or anything like that, I know that I'm switched on. I know that I'm ready, and that's something where I'm like, if I'm not nervous, I'm probably a little bit worried. But they're like, oh, okay, are you really caring as much as you should? But when I'm either nervous, excited, all these sorts of things, I'm like, no, I'm switched on. I'm ready. Like this is good. This is what you want. You want to be feeling. Nothing worse than feeling numb or out of it.
Before we move on to a couple other photos, David Mascaro from San Francisco wants to know, are these cables hung by a helicopter? That's a good question. How do they rig these Highlines up, especially over these crazy distances?
I was waiting for this question. It's usually like, so how do you get the line across? But it's a really, really good question because with it does depend on the location about logistics and accessibility. Like if you have a short 100-meter, 200-meter line, you can generally walk the line around to the other side. Like if you've got access and everything like that. But what you can do is, say for instance, with this location here, you can use a drone. I have seen helicopters used, but not for these sort of ones where you would just use a drone with either like fishing line or like 2-3 mil of paracord. You bring it to the other side and then you pull across that line, which is attached to the webbing, and then that brings the line. But we've had projects where the lines are so big and technically so heavy that you'll have to implement boats and everything like that to actually bring these sorts of things across. Because you might be like in the fjords of Norway, and a drone's just not going to cut it. So
crazy.
Wow,
okay,
that's amazing.
Let's have a look at a couple of others. Stop me if I go. Oh yeah, I wanted to check. So what's the deal with this? This is nuts. How long before they got knocked off that line by a giant wave?
So it's kind of funny with this one because I either get two reactions. It's either like, oh my God, like he would never fall, like kind of thing. They're that good, which is so true. But with this one, because of the waves, I think he took 3 steps and then he just disappeared in the wave. And what you get with this is that it would just go white and then the athlete would be on the other side of the line from the power of it.
Whoa. Wow. Really?
And generally, like this one's an exception, but generally I was right near the anchor as well. So you'd have this thing where the wave would hit generally this pylon. You get this kind of spray and we should make amazing photos and everything like that. But then every now and then you get a wave that goes over the pylon and you just have to take the frame and then just duck and pivot because it's going to hit you.
Really?
Yep. That's fun.
Yeah. So it's going to hit you. But this one was so special for me because I heard about these guys down in Portugal. They're called the Western Riders. They'd literally rigged a line where there's 25 to 30 meter waves in Nazaré here. If you watch those crazy surfing videos and you see this red lighthouse and then the waves behind, we're right under the lighthouse. So,
wow.
Yeah, we're right under it. Yep. But this one was so special for me because I heard about these guys and I was like, I need to get there. So I took a 24-hour night bus from, I think I might have been in Paris. I would have been in Paris because we got commissioned to do a line from the Eiffel Tower. And so I took a 24-hour night bus down to Portugal. And I actually slept outside the lighthouse, sorry, just waiting for these guys in the morning. And I was like, I sent them a message as well. I was like, hey, I'm getting here. And they're like, if you're here, we'll obviously rig the line and everything like that. And first day, they're like, oh, we're sorry, Aidan. Like, unfortunately, the waves are only 7 meters. And coming from Sydney, 7 meters is huge still. And so I shot this week, and I was like, oh, like some good photos, but I feel like there's more. There's more. And that week was the week before Christmas, and I was meant to fly home to spend Christmas with my family. So I actually cancelled my flight to stay back a week later to hope that we could get 25 to 30 meter waves, where I actually luckily got this image here. But I just felt like there was more to this location than just spending that week there. I was like, I can just get that opportunity, and I can, yeah, if I can actually nail it, then yeah, I think it's going to be something truly special. Because what people don't realize with this location is that, yeah, it looks like I'm the only person around and there's nothing, but because there's big wave surfers, there's like 50 to 80 photographers behind me doing their thing, photographing. So if I can nail this, then this is going to be the image. And thankfully, like it did get some recognition from that, and thankfully some major awards, and some big publications as well, like Nat Geo and everything like that, and through Redbull as well.
It's an epic shot, and just the fact that it's at that time of day with that color in the sky, the silhouette, like that, everything is just perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. That's an absolute banger. All right. Oh wow, that's nuts. Is that right?
Yeah, it's during a snowstorm.
A snowstorm. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, I got to find this. Yeah, this one. This might have to be our last one. Tell me about this.
Yeah. This one wasn't necessarily like planned or anything like that. It kind of just came to fruition. Like it was more so just about adapting. So this was probably a couple of days before I was flying off to photograph like a project in Canada, and I heard that there was a group of athletes like by a company called Slacktivity, which is just like sort of slackliners, and they were doing a show in Zurich. So there's this, I think it's every 2 years, there's a festival there called Zurich Fest, and they get like 2 million people at this festival. It's, it's pretty much like a big Easter show. Like there's just everything you can think of, like happening around Zurich, from like food stalls to performances. And anyway, they were Highline. And what happened here was that they had strict times when they were meant to be on the lines, like you've got your 1:30 till 2:30 performance, and it was very structured. And they had to be off the line. I think it would have been like by like 6:30 p.m. I think that was their last slot. And it's like, you're going to be off the lines by this because there's going to be a fireworks show, and that needs to be the spectacle. Even though, in my opinion, this would look cooler. But anyway, that's just a bias. And anyway, we're sitting at one of the anchors, which was like on one of the rooftop buildings. So we had like a perfect view of the fireworks and everything. And these fireworks would generally last about 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And it was approaching like probably 10-minute mark. And I was talking to one of the athletes, and I was like, "Oh, this would be an amazing shot." Like, and he's like, "No, no, I'm too tired. We're not meant to be on the line." And I was like, "Man, like it's gonna be worth it. Like this is it's impossible for it not to look epic."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've just gotten off the line, like before the show. Like, nah, I'm too tired." Anyway, I thankfully convinced one of the other athletes, this athlete called Sarah Rixon from the UK. I was like, "Hey, this would be an amazing shot." And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You sure? Like, you don't know what you're actually getting into, but yeah." And so I was like, "Just get down the line, like probably around the middle." Like, it didn't even have time to I don't know, on this mark or do this or whatever. Like, so just get on the line, probably maybe middle-ish, And all in the back of my mind is the idea that, hey, the fireworks are going to end at any minute now. So I'm on the rooftop at the anchor going like to the left of this image, probably another 100 meters, and I'm having to run to this point through the crowds, 2 million people, not wanting to move because it's the fireworks. Like they're not free flowing or anything. I'm just like kind of pushing my way, darting through fences and like ducking through restaurants and like just going looking at the fireworks through the side of my eye, like, come on, quick, whilst looking at the athlete going, please, like this is going to be epic. And thankfully I got to this like kind of wharf, and I'm like, she's still walking down the line, and I'm looking at my watch going, oh my God, like we've got like a minute, we've got no time whatsoever. And I don't even know what she's going to do. I don't know if she's just going to stand there. I don't know if she's going to do anything. Like I have an instructor. We haven't agreed upon anything or anything like
Yeah.
that. And she just turns into this position, which is called exposure, where usually you just walk towards like across the line like that. But exposure is where you literally have the line going through your arches of your feet, but you're facing side on. So it's a lot harder, but it looks really cool. So
Yeah.
she's gone into this position, what she is on the line. And I don't even know if I've looked. I've just been holding down the shutter, firing off some frames. And it was literally, I think after this shot, and once the fireworks at the end and everything like that, she's moving her way back to the anchor. And I was looking through the series, and yeah, I couldn't help but just be reduced to tears, because I was like, this is what it's all about. This is how much you care. This is what you're putting into it. And it's kind of funny because I made my way back through the crowd, through the restaurants, everything, back to the rooftop. And I was showing her the images, and she's just like blown away. Everyone's like, holy moly, this is epic. And the athlete that had said no is like pretty much along the lines of, I think I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life.
Yep. Well, you had your chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's an epic story for an epic photo. I freaking love that.
It all paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show you meticulously plan and prepare and pre-visualize, and like you say, all of that isn't always required to get an amazing shot like this, but it's all of that practice that allows you to make a quick decision and pre-visualize in your head while you're running through a crowd what you're going to shoot.
100%.
And how it'll come out. You didn't need to draw it because you've done that so many times before that you probably drew it in your head on your way to this spot, ready to go.
100%. And I think it, at the end of the day, it is it is an understanding. Like, yes, you do need experience and everything like that, but you need that understanding and that to then also execute as well. Where, like, yes, I've drawn out plenty of photos and they've worked out really well, but then you do have that understanding as well how to get shots as well. Where like this was just spontaneous, and that understanding allowed me to get to that pier to understand what actually. How to frame this, everything like that, to then nail that, even though it probably would have been 15 to 30 seconds that I had to shoot and actually nail that by the end of it. So, and I've had it where, like, yes, you can understand what makes a good photo and everything like that, but it's also about understanding the athlete as well, because, if you don't understand them, there's going to be so many moments that you're actually going to miss out on. Like, say, for instance, I know we're going overtime, but I was on a project where I was in Iran, and it was approaching probably like half an hour before sunset. And one of my friends had been kind of not acting differently or anything like that, but he'd been going through processes very differently all day. And anyone else would have just been like, oh, he's feeling off. He's had food poisoning, or I know he's just feeling under the weather, or whatever it is. But I was like, no, this is different. This is really, he's preparing in a different way. He's doing everything. And I was like, he's getting ready to freestyle it. He's getting ready to walk a line without his leash. This is his preparation for getting on the line without having a harness or being tethered. So I was the only person there. I was the only person there that actually knew he was going to do it. So it would have been, if you go, it's the orange photo actually below.
I was going to say, so this is him. This one?
Yeah. So I was the only person there who knew that he was going to free solo, but he also didn't tell anyone. So that comes back to understanding as well, where it's like, you'll get a moment where somebody is actually going to do something, or he's going through the process of doing something, and you understand what they're actually doing and how to execute it. So like a big part of my job is, yes, I can prepare myself and everything like that, but I also have to prepare for the athletes as well, because everyone's different, everyone's style is different, everyone's preparation is different, and that also lends me to get unique shots like this, because no one knew that he was going to walk the line. No one knew he was going to walk free solo without a tether, and to be in the right spots at the right time and nail those as well is kind of a dedication to that as well.
Yep.
It's amazing intuition and connection with the athlete. Just to be clear for those listening or those looking at this photo, because it is a tighter shot. So he's walking without a leash, no attachment to the line whatsoever. and this is at a height, there would be consequence for a mistake. It's not like he's just 3 meters above some water or something like that. Like this is a big deal.
I'd probably say at least 150 to 200 meters.
Okay.
Whoa.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that,
It's up there with
why
people that scale mountains without ropes. You know, it's
which is why it's got the same name, Free Solo. I guess it's the same. They call it the same thing. I guess. Yeah. As in. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting with this sort of thing as well. That say for instance, like with my friends here, and thankfully with all the athletes I work with and everything that do this, like free soloing, there's a mutual respect as well in the element as well. Like say for instance, if I wasn't comfortable photographing this, or if he wasn't comfortable with me photographing, he wouldn't have been on the line first place. Yeah. But a lot of it is that mutual respect as well. Like you earn your keep, but also there's this, okay, we're at that stage now. We can have the conversation. We can talk about this. And it was, at the end of the day, it's the ultimate compliment when, in past times, yes, he's asked me and everything like that. We've already agreed about, me photographing that and him also asking me to photograph him doing it. That he's like, I back you to shoot this when I'm free soloing, because we have that mutual respect as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
It is crazy. And it's so serious, and there's so much emotion there that it's obviously something that neither of you or anyone else involved takes it lightly.
No.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. What a way to finish an episode.
I know.
We probably need to call it. We're 2 hours and 35 in. It's been epic. We'll have to do a part 2 one day. That's for sure. Yep. I don't think I've missed anything super serious. Just checking my notes. No, I think we've covered
the other half of the page.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else? Okay. Where should people keep an eye on your work? Where should they follow you? Is there anything important that's coming up that they should keep an eye out for?
Yeah. So obviously very grateful if anyone keeps up to date with what I'm doing. Best place is generally via Instagram or on Facebook. I would say Instagram is probably the best in terms of I'm regularly posting behind the scenes. I'm actually posting like things like real time as well. Like generally with my website, it gets updated when I get home. So it's a little bit on delay. So I would say there is the best thing because they can actually see like a little bit more behind the scenes. They can ask me questions. Obviously, anything like that is really, really appreciated. In terms of what's coming up, in 2 days, I fly to China for an event, which will be really, really cool for the next 3 months. So that'll be exciting for me. Like I just got back, I think about a week and a half ago. So then back on the plane, say hi to security and everyone at the airport, the pilots.
Hey guys.
But yeah. But in terms of, I would say, like in terms of exciting things coming, but then also doing, since I've signed on with Redbull, doing some more photo shoots with them, like in really out there places. So I'd say that's probably the best thing to keep an eye on it, but also, look forward to as well.
Awesome. You'll have to come back on once you've done a few more Redbull shoots and tell us all about what working with them is like. That was another question we didn't get to, but we'll save that. You come on and give us the rundown. It's the dream of any sports photographer to be a Redbull photographer. Matt Boyle says, these images are epic. Are they available to purchase online at all?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, they are. I'll probably wait maybe about a month or so. I'm currently redoing my website so that does have the infrastructure to sell prints and actually get them out to people, especially when I'm on the other side of the world, because it's a little bit hard at the moment. So yeah, they are available. They will be through my website in the next month and a half.
Very cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Anything else? Or is that it?
No,
are we done?
I think we're good. I think we might call it a day at that point. We're a little over 2.5 hours in.
Sorry, guys.
No, don't.
We love
please. It. No, we love it. This is what we do. First and foremost, Aidan, thank you so much for joining us today. your story and your journey are nothing short of inspirational. Understanding at such an early age that there was a direction that you could head in, and then pursuing that and making it work to suit you. I think that's really impressive. And you haven't gone down the typical line of maybe doing weddings for a decade, or doing corporate events. Or, I wasn't having a dig. It's true. A lot of photographers.
It is true. If you need to make a living, though, you got to figure out how to do it.
Whatever
it's certainly a lot easier to make a living shooting weddings than it is to try and travel the world shooting highlining. Like it's a
really niche sport, and it's you've carved your own niche in that community, which is incredible and impressive and amazing. And your images and the relationships you have with those athletes is testament to the efforts that you've made to get to this point in your career. So congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us. It's been humbling seeing such an inspirational story. So thank you. I've got goosebumps again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for all the kind words, and obviously allowing me to tell my story. And I know it was a dream when I was a lot younger to be on podcasts and actually be able to be in a position to tell my story and hopefully inspire other people out there. But thank you so much for allowing me to be on this, but also thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anytime you want to pop on, hey, when you launch a new website or whatever, let us know. Pop on for 5 minutes and show us through it or whatever. Or if you've ever got anything cool happening, an exhibition or a cover of a magazine or something, just shoot us an email and pop on the podcast for a quick drop in. And also, when you're the next Jimmy Chin, please don't forget about us. Come back on the podcast when you're world famous documentary director or whatever. Don't forget about little old us.
No, I definitely won't. But I also look forward to us trying to do a 5-minute podcast as well. I doubt it's going to be 5 minutes.
Probably not.
Fair cool. Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah. You got
2 hours later.
Yeah, how long?
All right, I'm going to roll the music and check in on some of the live chat comments to finish off the show. Thanks, Aidan, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not right.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I did the goat scream instead of our music. All right. Oh, look, Elena's used our new membership thing. Elena's a YouTube member. Well, that works.
Hey.
Awesome. Thanks. What else have we got here? LTK Photo says, thanks, guys. Great podcast as always. Thanks, Aidan. Would love another podcast in the future. What else have we got? Rodney Nicholson says, great show. Thanks, Rodney. Always awesome to see you. If you haven't heard Rodney's podcast episode, go back and find that one. It was awesome. Philip Johnson, good to see you. He says, special thanks, Aidan. Blue Mountains photographers rule. Philip's from the Blue Mountains. David Mascaro had to leave. It was time for baseball. But he said it was a good podcast, and he's a Nikon shooter, so he loves seeing other Nikon shooters on here. And everyone else that joined us, it was great to have you, Jason, Nev, all you legends. Oh, Neil, we can do guitar straps. Email me, justin@luckystraps.com.au. And otherwise, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
See you, everybody. Be safe.